Chapter 38:19. The first obstacle is the least monster among the three obstacles and the easiest to break through. Looking at the hundreds of monsters swarming directly in front of him, the sword flickered in his eyes. Kill it! Intruder! It! Roar! The hundreds of monsters were crazy and violent. They didn't know how to cooperate. The hundreds of monsters swarmed over their swords. Buzzing. The mist was rushing around, spreading rapidly. With the suppression effect of the magic light field, the hundreds of monsters covered most of them instantly. Immediately, the dazzling yet chilling light suddenly lit. The strongest swordplay. Almost instantly, half of the hundreds of monsters were cut directly by the dazzling Jianguang, and a large number of monster corpses fell down. This first monster obstruction, it collapsed in an instant. Although a small number of monsters rushed up, Jian Wushuang could solve it very easily. However, between the light and fire, Jian Wushuang has already broken through this heavy monster obstacle. However, Jian Wushuang did not have the slightest joy. After all, among the three obstacles, the first one is the easiest. Of course, it is easy for him to break through. But the second monster obstacle that will be encountered next is his problem. This second hindrance has now gathered almost 800 monsters. Even the elite comparable to the top dominator, there are about 50. So many monsters I want to kill, all of them is impossible. Speed broke through in the fastest time. Jian Wushuang licked his lips. In terms of strength, he is much stronger than these monsters. In terms of speed, these monsters are far from being comparable to him. Therefore, even if he faces a monster like 800 heads, he still has the possibility to break through. Soon, Jian Wushuang met the 800 obstacle monster with the second obstacle. 800 heads of monsters gathered together and covered the sky like a tide-like sword. As soon as they saw Jian Wushuang, those monsters had already shot, and across the distance a large number of sword lights greeted Jian Wushuang. The sword Wushuang has no fear at all. The guardian swordsmanship of the earth is in full play. There are 32 major sword areas, which can easily resist these swords. This is where these monsters are inferior to human cultivators. If Jian Wushuang is not facing these stupid monsters, but human beings dominate the sword, so many masters, Jian Wushuang would never dare to break through them. Because human beings dominate, even if they are unfamiliar with each other, they have similar strengths and can still carry out some simple cooperation. Even if there is no blessing from the magic array, it is a simple superposition of powers. Over 800 masters of superpowers can be superimposed. That power can be estimated to reach the level of the third level of domination. Even if the sword has the earth to protect, this body swordplay can't stop the power of the third level. But these monsters are far worse than human domination. They do NT know how to cooperate at all. They do NT even the simplest superposition of powers. They only attack stupidly. Although the number of this attack is large, the powers are not superimposed, and they CANT constitute too much swordsman. Threat. Jian Wushuang carried the attacks of these monsters and broke into the monster group directly. Later, by the suppression of the realm, the speed of Jian Wushuang, and the strange dark light phantom, all burst out. I saw a strange shape flickering recklessly among the monsters, easily passing through a famous monster, and even if he encountered a sword blocking the road, he shot directly and easily killed the opponent. And those monsters, it is almost difficult to capture the shadow of Jian Wushuang, let alone their speed cannot keep up, and they cannot blindly make indiscriminate attacks. After all, there are also around the location of Jian Wushuang plenty of their companions. This led to Jian Wushuang in the monster circle, and was hardly blocked. Just for a moment, Jian Wushuang rushed straight through this encirclement. It's a lot easier than I thought. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently at the large number of monsters who were still crazy to chase after him. Triple obstacles. This second obstacle is the most difficult. Jian Wushuang thought that he would need to spend more hands and feet before he could break through. However, he didn't expect to break through. It was so easy. Although the number of these monsters is very large, they basically did not put much pressure on him. Stupid. Not only stupid, but even none of these monsters has a conductor. Jian Wushuang smiled. These 800 monsters are totally fighting for themselves, and they act according to their consciousness. If one of them had a stronger command, even if it was only the most basic command, he would not break through so easily. The second obstacle is so easy to come through. As for the final third obstacle, it is even easier. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. It didn't take long for him to encounter the third obstacle. There were only 300 monsters standing in front of him this time, and he easily broke through. Since then, the 3 obstacles in front of him completely broke through, and the road ahead of him was unimpeded, and Jian Wushuang also easily came to the area he had previously selected, and then the field immediately converged, and his breath was immediately hidden stand up. Without the realm, Jian Wushuang can no longer sense monsters within 1,000,000 miles of the area, but these same monsters have completely lost their sights. Next, a large number of monsters are still hunting around the area where Jian Wushuang is located, but Jian Wushuang has already found a place to hide. These monsters have no basic soul perception ability, just like blind people. Of course, they see find it. To soared unparalleled. Behind a boulder, Jian Wushuang hid here, and at this moment he was sitting cross-legged with him, and in front of him, hovering the shard of life-glowing nuclei. This life nuclear fragment, curious feeling. Jian Wushuang just stared at the shard of life in front of him. Although he had obtained the nuclear fragment from that boulder before, he was fleeing all the way and had no time to investigate. Until now, he was able to observe the nuclear debris up close. This life nuclear fragment, when you take a closer look, is actually just a small white piece of elite, but it is within this white piece that it exudes an extremely unique atmosphere. And Jian Wushuang has sensed the extremely rich cosmic law contained in this small white block for the first time. Obviously, he told the flame that this nuclear fragment of life could indeed help him to understand the laws of the universe. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:20. Magic Flame, what should I do now? Jian Wushuang asked. Master, you should be able to sense the special power contained in this life nuclear fragment. Moyan said. Well. Jian Wushuang nodded. This power contains very strong laws of the universe. Of course, that is the cosmic power, and it is also a symbol of the unique power of the undead ghost. As long as the immortal ghost grows to its peak, he can reach the supremacy because his core of life contains cosmic power. Depending on the power of the universe, he can easily understand the laws of the universe. Devil Flame smiled, but the undead ghost has long died, and the life core has been broken. Now, the life core fragment you get should contain very little cosmic power, but it still has great usefulness for you. Master, you can directly choose to absorb the cosmic power of this life nuclear fragment. Direct absorption? Jian Wushuang stunned and said, that's the power of the universe. A ruler in our area is going to absorb the power of the universe. Isn't he looking for death? Although the master is assured, the cosmic power really has incredible power. Even the supreme level strong can't bear this kind of cosmic power. Perhaps those cosmic hegemons who are already invincible in the supremacy are eligible. Think about the power of the universe. And of course UCA and T withstand the power of the universe, but you and T be able to bear it, too. Magic Flame said. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang frowned. In fact, it's very simple. The universe cycles and has its own laws. It's impossible for the universe to master such incredible powers as cosmic power. So the master, you absorb the cosmic power in this nucleus. The result is cosmic power. Although it can be absorbed, it will immediately dissipate in your body. However, the process of dissipating cosmic power is completed in your body. Although most of the cosmic laws contained in it will also gradually dissipate, you can grasp so much in the process of passing. The law of the universe. Have you ever understood the master? Mo Yen laughed. Jian Wushuang raised his brow, and he already understood the meaning of the magic flame. Yes, the cosmic power, the supreme power of the vast universe, is more sublime than the laws of the universe, and even the supreme strong cannot be involved. But what he wants to grasp is not the cosmic power, but the trace of the cosmic laws contained in the cosmic power. It's like an ordinary person who wants him to face up against an invincible army. It must be heaven and earth. But if he was just asked to deal with a very ordinary soldier in the army, he would have a great chance. That's the truth. Yes, what I want to comprehend is just a trace of the law of the universe. As for the power of the universe, it has nothing to do with me. Jian Wushuang smiled and let go. Master, try it first. Mo Yen said, Jian Wushuang nodded. He couldn't completely trust the flames, although the magic flame said that it would not encounter any danger in absorbing this cosmic power. Jian Wushuang also felt some reason and was willing to try, but he was careful in the process of this attempt. As long as there was a slight error, will stop immediately. But obviously Jian Wushuang was thinking too much. His process of absorbing the power of the universe was smooth and did not encounter any danger. And after the cosmic power entered his body, just like the magic flame said, it began to dissipate immediately, and the dissipating process did not cause him any harm. This made Jian Wushuang slowly let go of his caution, and then he began to enlighten carefully. The universe is vast. The cosmic power of the universe is supreme. Even the laws of the universe are far from comparable. The undead ghost is also because of its uniqueness. It will have so many cosmic powers in its core. Jian Wushuang now only gets a small piece of life nuclear debris, and the cosmic power contained is only a trace. There are many laws of the universe. In the process of cosmic power dissipating and passing away, a large number of cosmic laws contained in cosmic power are also gradually dissipating. In this process, Jian Wushuang is extremely clear in feeling. This moment was the closest he had to the laws of the universe. Although the level has the coming of the law of the universe, that coming is only on his body, and the coming of the law of the universe, he just can sense the power of the law of the universe. But this time, the laws of the universe dissipated from his body. That is, dissipated, but actually it was disintegrated and transformed into something else. This process, so close to him, helped him too much. The law of the universe. Is this the law of the universe? At this moment, Jian Wushuang directly saw the essence of the law of the universe and knew how the law of the universe was shaped. His understanding and knowledge of the laws of the universe are also getting higher and higher, and he is getting closer to understanding. Coming soon, you can understand immediately. With a hint of ecstasy in his heart, Jian Wushuang can feel his great progress in the laws of the universe. Suddenly, the shard of life nucleus, which was originally dazzling with light, shook slightly, the light dimmed immediately, and the smash broke completely. The cosmic power absorbed by the sword is also interrupted immediately. Without the power of the universe, there would be no dissipation of the laws of the universe. Jian Wushuang calmed down completely. Do not. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes fiercely and let out a growl, and his eyes were deeply unwilling. Jian Wushuang is extremely unwilling. He clearly felt that he could immediately comprehend the laws of the universe, and he could even say that half of his feet had entered the threshold of the laws of the universe. But as a result, at this most critical time, the cosmic power of the life nucleus fragments was exhausted. His comprehension stopped immediately. He got stuck there, infinitely close to understanding the laws of the universe, but in the end, he was still a little behind. Right? It's just a tiny bit, a very small distance. But without the decomposition and passing of the cosmic power, this trace is also a ditch of heaven and earth. How can this happen? Obviously, I will soon be enlightened. Obviously, there is only a slight difference. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, roaring and screaming wildly, and his heart was furious. God seems to be joking with him. Obviously, he will soon understand the laws of the universe. Once he understands that it is a natural step to the sky, not only the surge in strength, but also completely past the test of the second sky of the red cloud realm, and he can also master Tianbei. However, at the last moment, it suddenly stopped. Chapter 38:21. Life nuclear fragments have completely shattered and dim, and this time the chance is indeed over. But Jian Wushuang's understanding of the cosmic circle is still a little bit worse. Maybe Jian Wushuang can take some time to understand this, but it is also possible that he will still be stuck on this step. What to do? Do you want me to a piece of life? Nuclear fragment. Jian Wushuang whispered. He robbed a piece of life, and nuclear this time. Although the process was not too dangerous, it was quite difficult. This time he succeeded because the monsters didn't have much defense. After this time, he can be sure that the monsters will protect the nuclear debris much better than before. Plus, what he got before was the most recent and easiest life nuclear fragment on the Bloodstone. But the other 3 life nuclear fragments were not so easy to obtain. In this case, Jian Wushuang went to snatch. The risk is much greater than before. However, in this situation, he wants to understand a trace of the universe's laws as soon as possible, and only has the way to win the life nuclear fragments. Fight. Even if the risk is great, I must fight too. What's more, this time I came to the dark demon realm. This was for adventure, in order to find the feeling of life and death. And now there is such a great opportunity in front of me. How can I step back the second block of life fragments? I must find ways to get them. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly, and his heart was determined. However, although it was decided, Jian Wushuang did not act immediately. He just got the first life nuclear fragment and caused a huge movement in this dim demon domain and alarmed a lot of monsters. Now that the darkened realm has not completely calmed down, the countless monsters are still frantically searching for his tracks. And at this time, he is naturally unsuitable to continue adventure. You have to wait a little longer, and when this dim demon field gradually subsides, the monsters don't search for his position crazy before he can leave. Behind the boulder, Jian Wushuang hides his own breath and is cautiously lurking. During this period, there were also many monsters passing by around him, but none of them were found. This lurking lurked for a whole year. 1 year later, Jian Wushuang's soul perception found that there were almost no monster groups searching around within thousands of miles. Obviously, the previous storm was already quiet. The dim demon realm also restored the former calm. Jian Wushuang, who had been lurking for a full year, set off again. The previous escape has made Jian Wushuang far away from the Bloodstone that has the life nuclear fragment. However, when Sword Wushuang had escaped before, he always remembered his escape route, so he could find the Bloodstone. However, when he fled, he blasted his fastest speed all the way, and it took a short time to reach this area. But now he has to be careful, avoiding the monsters around him. The speed is much slower. It took him a few days to return to the surrounding area of the Bloodstone. Came back here, but when Jian Wushuang saw the scene in front of him, Jian Wushuang froze. I saw in his soul perception that the 3 life nucleus fragments remaining on the Bloodstone were indeed intactly suspended above the Bloodstone, but there was an endless amount of darkness around the Bloodstone. There are more red monsters in number than these dark red monsters. When Jian Wushuang came to the life nuclear fragments 1 year ago, there were only 1,000 monsters around the Bloodstone. But now the dark red monsters around this Bloodstone add up. I am afraid that there must be 6,000 or 7,000 heads. In terms of quality, the elite level monsters have gathered more than 200 heads. The most important thing is that among these 6,000 or 7,000 monsters, Jian Wushuang also felt 2 extremely violent and terrible breath. The 2 monsters. Jian Wushuang immediately locked the 2 monsters. It looks the same as a normal dark red monster, except that the size of these 2 monsters is obviously larger than the other monsters, and the eyes of these 2 monsters are faintly dark red and cold. It's stronger than that elite level monster. The sword has no double-sided color and is ugly. Trouble is big. It is really troublesome. Although he had previously guessed that with the previous robbery, these monsters were wary and the protection of life nuclear debris was definitely more stringent, but Jian Wushuang thought that at most there were more monsters around. However, I didn't expect that there were 6,000 or 7,000 more heads. The most important thing is that there are 2 more terrible monsters inside. Those 2-headed monsters are obviously not comparable to the elite level monsters. You know, the elite level monsters can also compete with the top human beings, and now such stronger monsters are likely to reach the level of second-level domination. Jian Wushuang is sensing this. When the 2-headed monster, they also noticed a very dangerous breath from the 2-headed monster. Obviously, these 2 monsters can threaten him. If I do NT show my whole cards, my normal strength will explode to the extreme. Relying on my understanding of the origin of Kendo, my combat power is also the second level to dominate the level, and even relying on swordsmanship, I should be able to overpower Yu to dominate the first. The primary master of the series, but the 2 larger monsters in the monster group now. I feel afraid that it is slightly stronger than the master of Yu. There are 2 monsters like this, and there are 6,000 or 7,000 other monsters around. I want to break in and take that life nuclear fragment. It's too difficult and difficult. Jian Wushuang frowned. Obviously, the difficulty of this robbery is definitely 10 times or even dozens of times higher than that of the first nuclear fragment. I thought that the monsters in this dim demonic field were the strongest kind of monsters, but now it seems that this is not the case. The 2 larger monsters I see now should be called Jiang level monster. Jian Wushuang has given the 2 larger monsters a title. General level monsters. Fighting power is enough to rival the second level domination. Fortunately, although these 2 monsters are more powerful, their perception ability is not much stronger than the elite monsters. I hid in this void and concealed the breath, and these 2 monsters could not find me. Jian Wushuang eyes slightly hesitantly. No hurry. I'll wait here first to see if the 2 general monsters will leave here. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:22. Jian Wushuang did not choose to start immediately. He knew very well that when he came to the life nuclear fragments, the 2 general monsters were not there. Not only wasn't he guarded around that Bloodstone, not even in this area. Otherwise, why did he not see such a general monster when he was so active and surrounded by countless monsters? Obviously, these 2 monsters are from other areas of the dim demon realm, such as deeper. Since they are not in this area, They know that the life nuclear fragments were rushed over and deliberately rushed over. After this area gradually calms down, the two monsters will likely leave and return to their previous places local. If these two general monsters leave, it will be less difficult for the sword unparalleled to that nuclear fragment. So he has to wait first. However, what Jian Wushuang did not expect was that he had waited for 3 years in the surroundings, and neither of the two general monsters had any intention to leave. It's been 3 years, and there is no movement at all. It seems that the two general monsters are not planning to leave. The sword has no double-sided color, which is a bit ugly. The dim demon domain is calm on 3 sides, and the two general monsters have no intention to leave, which indicates that the two general monsters are expected to be here in the future. It can also prove that these monsters really attach great importance to life nuclear fragments. Maybe one day those two general monsters will leave, but who knows when they will go? Jian Wushuang can't wait. He didn't plan to wait any longer. No way, I can only fight. Jian Wu's eyes flashed with cold mang, and in his heart he had begun to plan. This robbery was much more difficult than last time. The last time he had confidence in his own strength, so he made a fortune without much thoughtful planning. But this time it was different. After a moment of effort, Jian Wushuang left. Like the last time, Jian Wushuang approached the Bloodstone as much as possible at the beginning, but because the monsters around them have strengthened the vigilance and the existence of the two general monsters, Jian Wushuang didn't get much closer. So he found roar. The skyrocketing roar echoed fiercely in the sky. Silent for 4 years, the darkened demon domain shook again. To date, there are 6,000 or 7,000 monsters guarding the Bloodstone, and when he hears this roar, he immediately responds. Shocking, swept up instantly. Intruders! It's him again! Dead, die, kill him! These monsters almost instantly locked Jian Wushuang, and at the same time they saw Jian Wushuang's body shape, which made them even more angry. Although their wisdom is not high, they are very revengeful. 4 years ago, the human practitioner suddenly rushed here, snatched one of their holy things, killed many of their companions, and left. These monsters were already so angry that they hated this human practitioner. Now, this human cultivator has returned, and it seems that his purpose is still the same as before, to their holy things. 2 consecutive shots to snatch. How can they make this human succeed? Countless monsters rose into the sky. This time it was clear that Jian Wushuang's speed was slower. He has not been able to set foot on the Bloodstone, but there are already thousands of monsters blocking him in front of him. Among them, the 2 forwards are the most impressive, one of the first-level monsters. The 2 monsters did not stay together, but were separated from each other. When Jian Wushuang suddenly shot, both monsters reacted, but one of them was close to Jian Wushuang. Naturally, the first time it was in front, but the other side was on the other side, but it had already started to come. Human practitioners. The dark red pupils blocking the general monster in front of Jian Wushuang exudes a heartbreaking light. Is it you that snatched my holy relic? Are you still daring to a second time? The general monster's wisdom is obviously higher than other monsters, but not too high. Suffering. With a loud scream, this general-level monster and thousands of ordinary and elite monsters behind him slammed into the sword Wushuang like a tide. Not good. The sword has no slight change in color on both sides. He found that the general monster was much faster than the ordinary elite monster. Almost instantly, the general monster appeared in front of him, and its 2 sword-like arms had already been held high. Up. Wow! 2 forest cold sword lights, carrying a terrifying chill, cut off directly across. Space was ruthlessly fought by these 2 swords. regarding the exquisite power of the sword light power and even the skill of the sword. This level monster is far better than the elite monster. In the face of these two swords, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to entrust him, and at the first time, he was able to wave the Huangquan Excalibur. An equally outrageous Jianguang was cut out and collided with the two swords that came from the cross. Clang! The crisp impact sounded, and the light red mist that had permeated the void was dissipated by the mighty impact. Jian's body shape shook slightly, and the whole person suddenly retreated a few steps away. The general monster, however, just leaned back slightly, followed by another big step, and continued to kill the sword, unparalleled. So strong! Jian Wu's eyes flashed with horror. Just that sword. He has already exploded his power to the extreme. Combined with swordsmanship, it is enough to easily crush ordinary top masters, and he can collide directly with this general monster, which is obviously at an absolute disadvantage. This head-level monster is purely powerful. At least it has reached the extreme of the second-level elementary master, and the blade method it uses is also very good. This general-level monster is much harder than those elite-level monsters. Hurry up! Jian Wushuang turned around and fled without hesitation after a momentary confrontation with the general monster. Xian Guangyu stretched his wings, and the speed of Jian Wushuang broke out. But the interesting thing is that although novel Jian Wushuang seems to be fleeing, it doesn't give out his fastest speed instantly. It is to keep the speed to a certain degree, at least to let a large number of monsters in the rear feel that there is a chance to kill themselves. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang fled. These monsters, already crazy, were led directly by Jian Wushuang, led by those two monsters. At the same time, a roar of constant roaring sounded, and they were constantly calling on their surrounding companions. In the course of fleeing, Jian Wushuang turned his head to look at the void in the rear, and found that the 6,000 or 7,000 monsters that had been guarding around the Bloodstone had already chased most of them at this moment, especially the two monsters at the top. Let Jian Wushuang's eyes light up. Chapter 38:23. The first is more. Come and kill me. With a smile of evil charm, Jian Wushuang stretched out Xian Guangzhu Tianyi and fled forward. Behind him, more than 4,000 monsters, led by those two general monsters, chased him crazy. At the same time, the monsters along the way also roared and kept calling for nearby monsters to chase and block. At this moment, Sword Wusu escaped tens of thousands of miles, during which the monsters were still far behind him. Almost. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed, and he immediately changed his direction, and those monsters also changed their direction. Then Jian Wushuang was another turning point on the way, and then went in the direction he had just fled away, that is, the Bloodstone where the 3 life nuclear fragments were located. It is equivalent to Jian Wushuang making a big circle on the way and returning the same way. The difference is that he is now returning the same way, and the thousands of monsters are still following him. I took these monsters in such a large circle to bring them back to me. And now around the 3 life nuclear fragments, the guarded monsters estimate that there are at most 2,000 heads. Most the important thing is that there are no 2-level monsters. Only 2,000 level monsters are blocked, which is much easier than the previous 6,000 or 7,000 head monsters and 2 2-level monsters. I have a chance to break in, but captured life nuclear fragments. Jian Wushuang had a cold smile on his face. Tiao Wulishan is Jian Wushuang's plan this time. He used himself as a bait to attract most of the monsters that were guarding around the Bloodstone, and then took them in a large circle. Although they are back now, these monsters are behind Jian Wushuang, not blocking him. It's in front of me. This completely gave Jian Wushuang the chance to that nuclear fragment. Boost. Sword flashed in the eyes of Wumong, and the speed was no longer hidden, and the fastest speed broke out, rushing towards the Bloodstone. And a lot of monsters that followed him were able to keep up with Jian Wushuang in the beginning, but that was because Jian Wushuang was deliberately controlling his speed. But now Jian Wushuang's speed is full. It is difficult for them to keep up. The two-level monsters barely managed to keep up, but the distance between the two-level monsters and Sword Unparalleled was still slowly opening. Ha! These monsters are really stupid. I played with them, and I don't know. Jian Wushuang grinned, and after he broke out at full speed, he soon returned to the area where the Bloodstone was. The 3 life nuclear fragments are still intact and suspended above the Bloodstone. When Jian Wushuang approached this area again, because there was no convergence in speed, the more than 2,000 monsters still guarding around the Bloodstone were awakened. When Jian Wushuang arrived in that area, the naked eye could see the life nuclear fragments on the Bloodstone. The 2,000 monsters had already gathered together, and they had locked Jian Wushuang. The 2,000-plus monsters are directly in front of the sword without double-sided. There are more than 2,000 monsters, even though most of them are of the ordinary level and a small number of elite levels, but the numbers are there after all. If it was not for the fate of the nuclear fate, if Jian Wushuang saw so many monsters blocking his front, he would have no hesitation in choosing to turn around and leave. But now he has no choice. Rush! The sword stunner's eyes flashed with breathtaking breath. The Huangquan Excalibur exudes the cold light, and the sword surged into the sky. Buzzing! A lot of black magic light swept out. The triple magic light field, combined with the mysterious realm, has been exhibited. This area temporarily suppressed only a few thousand miles around it, including all the 2,000 monsters blocking him. Then Jian Wushuang's figure approached the monster group forward at an amazing speed. Those 2,000 heads of monsters were also astonishing, as if they were killing swords like a wasp. At first glance, it seemed as if an ant had penetrated into a horse honeycomb. But in fact, this ant has an incredible power of destruction. The average wasp cannot stop this ant at all. Wow, 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 wow. I saw a multitude of sword lights and overwhelmingly cut swords. These sword lights have been cut from all directions, and the number is strange. The sword is no matter how strong and strange, and it is impossible to escape from the overwhelming sword lights. He also lazily took the house and directly performed the Sword of Earth Protection. 32 major sword areas issued a tough and powerful power, which resisted all the swords, but he only weakened more than 20. Then Jian Wushuang came into close contact with these monsters. His sword skills also burst into bursts. Buzzing! I saw the hazy mist rushing like a tide. The strongest swordplay, hazy, facing the obstacles of more than 2,000 monsters. Jian Wushuang did not care about the consumption of divine power. Now, he must rush through the obstacles of these monsters at the fastest speed, rush to the Bloodstone, and get the life nuclear fragments. That fate is his ultimate goal. As long as he can get the nuclear fragment at any cost, he can accept it. The hazy mist swept through, killing dozens of monsters in an instant, and Jian Wushuang's Phoenix Phantom body also played to the extreme. The body is strange and unpredictable, and the dodges change time and time again. Most of those monsters who surrounded him, no one could capture him. While killing his enemies with swordsmanship, he approached the Bloodstone as close as possible by his own means. These stupid monsters who do not know how to cooperate, despite their large number, are unable to stop Jian Wushuang from advancing at all. But the sword is unparalleled. After all, he is now fully exerting his field, body, and his strongest sword skills. In the face of so many monster siege, his power is too great, even if he is perfect life, great divine power, but consumed like crazy, he dare not care. After all, there are still a lot of monsters coming in the back, especially the two monsters. The soul of the sword, unparalleled soul, has sensed their existence. These two monsters can reach the battlefield immediately. All die. Jian Wu's eyes were scarlet, and he had completely killed himself. He spared no effort, and even disregarded the divine power consumption, frantically beheaded the monsters in front of him, and killed a path from the obstacles of the 2,000 monsters at the fastest speed. He did it. Although he had killed more than 2,000 heads with more than 3,000 heads, he had already passed through the obstacles of these monsters by his body and appeared on the bloodstone with a flash of his figure. Chapter 38:24. Second War. Life nuclear debris. At a glance, Jian Wushuang locked the 3 remaining life shards on the bloodstone. He did not hesitate to go forward and put the piece of life nuclear fragments closest to him into the ring of war, but he could not collect the remaining 2 pieces of life nuclear fragments, because the surrounding monsters have already besieged them. Not only the more than 2,000 monsters who blocked him this time, but also those he had been led away from before, including the 2 general monsters and the many monsters who were called to come. Now come to this area, and the monsters gathered around Jian Wushuang. There are already tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of monsters leaked the water around him. Jian Wushuang only felt that there were monsters everywhere. These monsters even blocked his sight, making him unable to approach the other 2 life nuclear fragments at all. I previously absorbed the cosmic power of a life nuclear shard, and there is only a trace to understand the laws of the universe. There is only 1 life nuclear shard in this trace, and the remaining 2 life nuclear shards are not available. It doesn't matter. Jian Wushuang didn't care about those 2 pieces of life core. His most important thing now is to escape from the siege of tens of thousands of monsters. It's desperate. Looking at the countless dark red monsters around him, Jian Wushuang was extremely heavy inside. The surrounding monsters were completely furious when they saw Jian Wushuang take away the second piece of life and nuclear, the life nucleus fragments, but their relics were previously snatched by the human in front of them, and now they have snatched the second one, and still be their face. Can't tolerate. They cannot tolerate trample on this group by this human being. To kill, you must kill this human. No matter what the price is, even if they all die here, they will not allow the human in front of them to escape again. Kill him. Kill humans. Hey it. The roar of horrifying sounds rang out from all directions, from the ordinary and elite monsters in all directions. Those 2 general-level monsters also bear the brunt of it, killing them in front of Jian Wushuang. There was a flash of madness in Jian Wu's eyes. Kill it! Boom! Jian Wu's body shuddered, and there was a fiery body in his body. The divine power that followed him was as if the dry would encountered a fiery fire. Dragon extermination, magic power burns. Jian Wushuang has already used this card of his own, and the pain of divine power has made Jian Wushuang's expression look a little hesitant, and his eyes are even scarlet. But as the divine power burned, his strength also suddenly increased. Human die. The 2 level monsters growled. 1 left, and 1 right appeared first in front of Jian Wushuang. They are much larger than other monsters, and their 2 sword-like arms are longer and sharper. I saw it. The sound of the space being cut open. These 2 head-level monsters waved their arms at the same time, and the dazzling sword light came, but 2 different sword lights, with a breathtaking violent atmosphere, seemed to be able to break new ground. Get me out! Jian Wushuang only glanced coldly at the 2 general monsters, and Huang Quan swept a sharp sword in his hand. Shocking power, sweeping away with the rich origins of the Kendo universe, there is a faint ripple spreading out in the void, which is the sword swing that can be formed only after the sword power has reached a certain level. The 2 general monsters saw the sword wave fluctuating, and there was no fear at all. because one of them had a monster that had played against Jian Wushuang before. It was also a frontal collision. In that collision, Jian Wushuang was at an absolute disadvantage. 1-to-1, this human is not their opponent, not to mention that now they are 2 against 1 at the same time. In their opinion, this human is dead. But in fact, when Jian Wushuang's horrible sword light with sword-like ripples hit their arms, both of the first-class monsters immediately noticed an unprecedented power coming from their arms. And this power was even worse. It is enough to chop their arms. Too strong. That sharp force, enough to cut off all the power, is simply outrageous. The 2 monsters glared at the pupils and screamed at Chi-Chi, and the huge body of the 2 was like 2 mountains. They flew upside down and hit ahead of Ordinary and Elite along the way. Monster, a random sword, directly destroying the Rotten, defeated the 2 major monsters' joined forces. This is the amazing strength possessed by Jian Wushuang after the exhibition of Zhanlong Mystery. When I cast the Mystery of Dragon Extermination, I am too powerful in power, and it is definitely no less than the 2nd-level Higher Master, and my understanding of Kendo is my 3rd-level sword. Both general monsters' mighty powers are only the 2nd-level primary dominating level. The sword is far worse than me. 2-to-1. Wanna fight me? Jian Wushuang flashed a slight disdain. If you do not use Dragon Extermination, these 2 general monsters are eligible to threaten him. However, once you have performed Dragon Extermination, this general monster can absolutely swept him. Kill it out. The 2 monsters were defeated, and the sword was double without any pause. When I saw the violent sword intentions rising up and down, Jian Wushuang seemed to be the core of a storm. The horrific swordstorm storm swept the entire battlefield. He successively waved the Huangquan Excalibur. With his current power, a sword at hand was stronger than the obscure swordsmanship that was fully exerted before. 1 sword was enough to easily kill dozens or even hundreds monster. I saw him wielding 1 sword at a time. Every sword was overwhelming. Countless monsters were swept across by swordsmanship, and they were instantly torn apart, and even the life nucleus was smashed on the spot. Jian Wushuang is now a killing machine, killing insanely. Kill all the monsters in front of him. Even the 2 strongest general monsters were smashed by Jian Wushuang. The tens of thousands of monsters didn't know how to cooperate with each other. Who among them can stop Jian Wushuang? The answer is no. Jian Wushuang completely killed the madness. It was a one-sided slaughter. These monsters are comparable to high-level masters and top-level masters, and they are as weak as ants in his hands. Except for the 2 general monsters, there is no monster on the battlefield that can block his sword. In a short period of time, thousands of monsters have already died under the mad killing of Jian Wushuang. However, the use of Dragon Mystery to burn the magical power and carry out such a crazy killing made the sword's magical power consumption much faster than before. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:25. Third more. After getting the life core fragment from the Bloodstone, I saw that I was completely surrounded by tens of thousands of monsters. Jian Wushuang had already cast the Dragon Demystification desperately, and from the time of the Dragon Demystification to the present, it took only a moment, however. In this moment of Kung Fu, his divine power has been fully consumed by 40% plus the previous consumption. His remaining divine power is already less than 50%. But simply, such a crazy killing finally made Jian Wushuang open a gap from the siege of tens of thousands of monsters. This gap is small, and monsters coming from other directions can easily refill this gap, but Jian Wushuang still grasped this opportunity. Xian Guangyu Tianyi stretched wildly. Jian Wushuang evoked the power of Xian Guangyutiani as much as possible, and then relied on the Shuangguang Phantom method to frantically shuttle among monster groups. In a blink of an eye, it has rushed directly to the extreme edge of the battlefield. Kill! The sword swept across, and suddenly there were countless small sword shadows bursting out. These small sword shadows are like a raindrop pouring on the monsters in front of them. Suddenly, the head of a monster was penetrated through the abdomen, and a large number of monster corpses fell simultaneously. Jianyu swordsmanship created by Jian Wushuang. This sword power is not very strong. After all, it is too scattered and can only be used to kill some weak people. However, he who is performing the mystery of dragon extermination is now extremely powerful, fearing that he is already near the top level of the second level. In the face of this high level of combat power, these only have the first level high. The monster that dominates the top level is the weak. The sword rain came out, and those shadows like raindrops could easily kill a monster. Another group of monster corpses fell, and at this moment, there were fewer than 100 monsters standing in front of Jian Wushuang. The speed of the sword Wushuang burst to the extreme, killing and impacting at the fastest speed, and finally killed from the siege of tens of thousands of monsters. Come out, finally kill it. Sword warriors rejoice. He has been killed from the siege of tens of thousands of monsters, and although he will be blocked by a large number of monsters, he has a lot of room for competition. Escape at the fastest speed. Jian Wushuang did not dare to pause, and fled all the way forward. His speed was already extremely fast. After Shi Zhan's mysterious extinction, the speed was greatly increased again, which is far from being comparable to those monsters behind him. Even the two general monsters are faster than swords. Warriors are a long way off. Those monsters in the rear, Jian Wushuang, can be easily thrown away. Just on the way that Jian Wushuang was besieged by these tens of thousands of monsters, a large number of monsters in the vicinity have been rushed over, and now Jian Wushuang is surrounded by a large number of monsters in all directions. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang directly released the triple magic light realm to the maximum, directly covering the range of millions of miles. His soul power was covered by the magic light realm, and he immediately sensed the existence of many monsters within 1,000,000 miles. Oh my God! After seeing the scene within 1,000,000 miles of his surroundings, Jian Wushuang was a little dazed. Too much, too much. Perhaps it was because of the last that made these monsters vigilant. There are far more monsters gathered around the life nuclear debris than when they first snatched the life nuclear debris. Jian Wushuang only felt his own. Within the realm, there are monster breaths everywhere, and there are almost hundreds of them, thousands of them gathered together. At a glance, the number of monsters rushing from all directions within 1,000,000 miles is definitely over 100,000. 100,000 monsters. This figure is really terrifying. Don't look at him who just broke out from the siege of tens of thousands of monsters, but only he himself knew how great his energy consumption was in the short period of time. During that siege, he couldn't continue at all. It takes too long to kill them as quickly as possible. You can have the remaining divine power now. And if you fall into the siege of tens of thousands of monsters, then he will not be able to kill them again. Not to mention, the siege that came around was not only 10,000, but 100,000. As long as Jian Wushuang thinks that he is surrounded by monsters like 100,000 heads, he will numb his scalp. Escape. You must quickly find a way to escape. You must not be surrounded by these monsters. Jian Wushuang also had a hint of panic in his heart. As for dragon extermination, he stopped casting immediately after throwing away the tens of thousands of monsters. After all, this mystery consumes too much divine power. It has only been so effective just now. His divine power is less than 50%. If it continues to burn, I am afraid that his divine power will be exhausted soon, and no monsters are needed. He shot himself and died because the divine power was exhausted and the divine body lost its vitality. Jian Wushuang was fleeing while he was thinking quickly, and the power of his soul also clearly sees the number and location of all monsters within 1,000,000 miles. Too many. There are too many monsters besieging me this time. I can't break through obstacles like the last time. I find a place without monsters to hide. Even I feel that I can't break past this blockade. The sword is ugly without two sides. Yes, he found that although the monsters are low in intelligence, some basic common sense is still there, and the two monsters at the end are obviously more intelligent. The two general monsters know that they are surrounded by them. They can even find the position of the sword unparalleled through the realm. The most important thing is that there are too many monsters. So many monsters. These two general monsters, you can tell them to go down, let them form a huge enveloping net without leaving a gap, so that they have almost no possibility of escaping from their enclosing net. In the simplest form of encirclement, those monsters can still be done under the command of a general monster. I am now trapped in their siege. They just need to slowly approach me, wait for the siege ring to slowly shrink, and naturally I can be easily found. The best way for me now is to use the siege ring that has not been completely reduced before. I rushed out in the weakest place, but Jian Wushuang frowned deeply. He wants to rush out now, but he found that even in the weakest place in this huge encirclement, tens of thousands of monsters could be easily gathered in a short period of time. In other words, if he wants to rush out of this encirclement, at least he has to face the huge obstacle of gathering tens of thousands of monsters. Chapter 38:26. Fourth more. 10,000 heads of monsters still have to run forward. Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly. Before he used the technique of dragon extermination and mass slaughter, he was finally killed from the siege of tens of thousands of monsters. But despite this, he spent a lot of divine power. So far less than 50% of his divine power. But you can break through the front and go through the middle of tens of thousands of monsters. This is twice as difficult as being trapped in the siege of tens of thousands of monsters. In his current state, it is almost impossible to break through the obstacles of tens of thousands of monsters. In other words, he can't break out of this siege now. He has nowhere to run. With more than 100,000 monsters, the huge encirclement formed by those two general-level monsters has completely lost the possibility of escape. These monsters only need to step forward step by step. In the end, I was able to gather around 100,000 monsters to kill me. Jian Wushuang Taiching face. The siege of 100,000 monsters is undoubtedly a huge crisis for him now. However, the more critical the crisis, the more calm Wu Jianshuang appeared. To this day, I want to survive, and I want to escape from the siege of more than 100,000 monsters, and there is only one way. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed. There are countless possibilities in his mind, but in the end, there is really only one chance that he can escape the day of birth and let him survive. No way but to bet. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth, but his body stopped immediately and fell towards the ground below. Sword Wushuang fell on the top of a large tree, and then sat down in a pan with a thought. The piece of life nucleus that had just fallen into his hand appeared before him. Life fragmentation, my only vitality is you. Jian Wushuang's eyes twinkled strangely. Now he is surrounded by more than 100,000 monsters, but with such a large circle, those monsters will not appear in front of him at once. This left him a hint of time. Of course, this time will not be too long. It is estimated that at most only a moment of effort. But in this moment of time, Jian Wushuang will not be disturbed. He can completely absorb the cosmic power in this second life nuclear fragment. Relying on the absorption of cosmic power, the trace of his previous difference in the laws of the universe can be completely made up so that he can truly understand the laws of the universe. By then, he will have a chance to come back. Start. Jian Wushuang didn't dare to waste time. After taking out the life nuclear fragments, he began to absorb them directly. With the experience of the last absorption, this time the sword Wushuang absorbed the power of the universe to make it smoother. As soon as the cosmic power entered his body, it began to dissipate and pass away, along with the vast universe of laws. Jian Wushuang is quietly comprehending and realizing during the passage of the laws of the universe. At the previous enlightenment, his understanding of the nature of the laws of the universe was very clear. The difference was just a trace, and now he once again realized the state of the laws of the universe. Make up. Finally, the last small step Jian Wushuang crossed. He finally realized the laws of the universe. The law of the universe. Is this the law of the universe? Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, waved his hand slightly, and there was a strange power condensed in his hands. This power is the supreme power in the vast universe, but it is also the most pure power of the universe. This power is very powerful. Even though Jian Wushuang now only understands a little bit, he can still feel the infinite possibilities of this power. The law of the universe, generally only the supreme level of the strong, are truly qualified to enlighten. Mastering, you need to reach a certain level or need a certain talent to be able to realize some. As for the ruler, under normal circumstances, it is impossible to realize a trace of the law of the universe, and the law of the universe is also a force that the ruler cannot involve. But the universe is so big that there are always some super monsters. Such monsters, at the level of the master of the rules, can have a glimpse of the laws of the universe, and they are also known as super rare geniuses rarely seen in the billions of stars. Jian Wushuang has just reached this step. The cosmic power is completely absorbed by Jian Wushuang. That piece of life nuclear fragment also lost its original light and faded. But Jian Wushuang didn't care about the nuclear fragment. The law of the universe has been realized for a while. Then it's time to try that trick. Jian Wushuang smiled, but closed his eyes again. Time flies. Jian Wushuang is completely silent in his own understanding and study. As for the surrounding danger, he seems to have completely forgotten the general. But whether he forgets it or not, it should come, after all. Hundreds of thousands of dark red monsters, under the leadership of the two monsters, formed a huge encirclement, gradually narrowing the scope, and finally narrowing to less than 10 miles with the sword unparalleled. Here, these monsters have been able to clearly see the existence of sword unparalleled. Roar! Roar! Two shocking roars were emitted from the mouths of the two general monsters. The two-level monster silver eyes stared at Jian Wushuang with a strange light, and the expression was obviously proud. Obviously, they are because he captured Jian Wushuang this time, so that he couldn't be proud of them. Because in their view, since this human has not been able to break out of their encirclement, it is impossible to survive. There are more than 100,000 monsters gathered around. With so many monsters here, even the masters who reach the third or even fourth rank among human practitioners will undoubtedly die. After all, the power of human cultivation is not endless. 100,000 monsters can consume each other to death. When more than 100,000 monsters appeared in the surroundings, Jian Wushuang's eyes slowly opened. Time is just right. Jian Wushuang is smiling, no longer as nervous and frightened as before. Even if there are more than 100,000 monsters around him, he no longer has the slightest fear in his heart. I saw him slowly get up, and at the same time did not forget to pat the dust on his clothes. And then he looked at the countless dark red monsters around him. Monsters, are you ready? Jian Wushuang said suddenly. His words caused many monsters present to stumble, not knowing what he was going to do. At this time, Sword Wushuang waved slowly. A golden light abruptly swept out. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the news score. Chapter 38:27, Fifth More. This golden light is truly one of the strongest treasures of Jian Wushuang. The map of Shanha society is the strongest suppressor of the treasure class, and it is also at the level of needlessness. Its power is extremely powerful, especially the Jiulong Tiantian formation. However, the longest time that this mountain and river club has fallen into the sword without hands, but he has not been able to truly show the true power of this treasure. But now it's different. Understanding a little bit of the law of the universe, I have truly mastered this map of the Shanha society. Jian Wushuang smiled. Now, let me see the true power of this treasure. After that, Jian Wushuang pointed a finger directly to the void above, and that golden light instantly melted into the void above. Banging! The earth trembled, and then an ancient and extreme breath slowly descended. The original dim sky above suddenly cracked, followed by a brand new world, slowly appeared in front of the world. This world is beautiful, just like a fairyland in the painting. In fact, this world is a scroll world. Pictures of Shanhesh, Kowloon, the Sky Law Formation, open, boom. Heaven and earth shuddered violently. Among the scroll world above, there are 9 giant continents in the scroll world, but at this moment, dazzling golden light burst out, full of 9 dragon spirit golden lights, burst out from the middle of Kyushu and shot at 9 different positions in the void below. In a blink of an eye, a huge golden dragon spirit array was already formed. This huge golden dragon spirit formation has covered a range of 1,000,000 miles, and naturally also covered the 100,000 monsters below. The Jiulong Tiantian formation is taking shape, but this is only the first step of the sword, unparalleled. Wow, I saw a lot of black magic light swept away like waves. The magic light field combined with the Shuangguang realm was also expanded to cover the entire field, covering all the 100,000 monsters. However, although the magic light field is covered by those monsters, Jian Wushuang did not immediately exert field oppression. He is still using other means. Dragon mystery. Jian Wushuang meditated in his heart. Suddenly less than 50% of the divine power left in his body burned wildly again. The burning of divine power gave the sword Wushuang stronger power. Followed by sword Wushuang, Limong flashed again. OM. The void shook slightly. A large amount of black air flow swept up suddenly, covering the vast void around in a blink of an eye. God, it went dark. Without the light, the whole world is in absolute darkness. Silence. The whole world is silent. Primitive universe. The law of the universe personally gave Jian Wushuang the strongest talented supernatural power, and also Jian Wushuang's strongest whole card for killing tricks. At this moment, it was directly cast out, and the burning of the magical power with the mystery of the dragon, coupled with the blessing of the primitive universe, suddenly made the sword unparalleled power reach a whole new level. This level, according to Jian Wushuang's estimation, should have reached the top of the second level domination. The strongest realm formed by Jiulong Tiantian array, triple magic light combined with mystic realm, dragon extinction, and strongest card original universe. At this moment, the sword unparalleled is already showing all his whole cards. At the same time, at this moment, he has unprecedented strength. I have done my best to make the most of the power I can exert. This is my extreme. My extreme limit is no longer possible. The next move is bound to be the most terrifying killing move I can play. After this trick, my divine power will inevitably not be much left. In other words, if this trick doesn't die, I will die. there was an unprecedented madness in Jian Wu's eyes. The realm of magic light, absolutely strangling. Kowloon is dying, annihilation. Banging. There was a great earthquake in the world, and nearly 50% of the divine power left by Jian Wushuang was almost exhausted at this moment. However, under the crazy consumption of this divine power, the terrible power that erupted in the area of magic light covering the surrounding void was exuded. And among the golden dragon spirit formations covering the surrounding void, there were also sounds of dragons mingling, and the dazzling golden light immediately fell. More than 100,000 monsters in this area are bathed in this golden light. Triple magic light mirror. The strongest power of triple power, strangling in the field. This strangulation kills all living beings in the area covered by the mighty domain power. This is an extremely horrible killing trick, but because it covers a very wide range, and is the largest means of group attack, it can be easily killed only by performing strangulation in this area under the premise that the strength is far beyond the opponent. Other side. For example, a powerful master who can kill a group of rule masters in this field can be easily killed through direct strangulation in the field. Jiu Tian Ephasian, Jingguang annihilation. This is the stronger means that Jian Wushuang can realize after he has realized a bit of the law of the universe. This heavy means is very similar to the triple strength field of strangling magic mirrors. They are all large-scale killing each other. The difference is that Zhelang formation is a huge suppression of annihilation. This annihilation ability requires a sword. Wushuang mastered a little cosmic law before he could cast it. How high is the threshold? In the field of triple magic mirrors, even if you do NT master the laws of the universe, you can cast them. Therefore, the golden annihilation of the Jiulong Tianfang formation is stronger than the realm of the triple magic light field, and it is much stronger. And under the amplitude of dragon mystery and the blessing of the primitive universe, whether it is the hang of the field of triple magic light or the golden annihilation of the Jiu Tianfa array, the unprecedented power has exploded. Jian Wushuang came to the show alone. These two major means were suddenly combined together and complemented each other. As a result, a horrible strangling annihilation power broke out. This is the most terrifying trick that Jian Wushuang can play at this stage. Similarly, it is the only way for him to change the situation and escape from the sky. This trick is his ultimate killer. When he was surrounded by more than 100,000 monsters, and he couldn't escape, he was already brewing this big killer. Until now, this big killer has finally come out. This move is bound to turn things around. If it cannot be reversed, he will inevitably die without any possibility. But if the situation is reversed, all this will be clear. Everything, look at God. Jian Wushuang actually showed a smile. Chapter 38:28. The first is more. Golden light annihilation. Field strangling. The combination of the two forms a horrifying annihilation force that directly swept away. The tens of thousands of monsters around Jian Wushuang were still angry, and at the moment they were still a little surprised. Obviously, they don't think this human can escape from them anymore. They can finally kill this human. These monsters are not in a hurry, even when they see Jian Wushuang using some means. They don't think that this human can make any waves. However, when that terrible annihilation force swept through, more than 100,000 monsters at this moment turned out angrily and screaming. This roar turned into a mourning even in a blink of an eye. Make these monsters completely without the imaginary terrorist force, sweeping over every monster present. This power is really too strong. This is when Jian Wushuang cast all his whole cards. The strongest power broke out, the golden light annihilation and the realm strangling. Jilong Tianfu Formation. Jin Guang's annihilation is one of the most terrible killing moves of Jilong Tianfang Formation. The power is extremely powerful. In combination with the magic light field, your annihilation force swept through on a large scale, even the top masters can't resist it. And these monsters present, except the two general monsters, most of the other monsters are just ordinary, a small number of elite, and these monsters have no immortality at all, facing this horrible annihilation force. And how can I resist? Disaster is here. For the many monsters present, this was a disaster, a block they could not resist. I saw a mournful sigh of wailing throughout the world. Under the terrible annihilation power of a monster, the body was crushed directly into powder, and even the life core of the abdomen was annihilated and crushed, almost in a blink of an eye. Among the more than 100,000 monsters, those who were just ordinary level monsters were all killed. As for those monsters at the elite level, they could barely support them for a while, but they were annihilated. Disaster. Nightmare. In this scene, I am afraid that in the future, it will become the dream demon in the heart of countless monsters in this dim demon domain. Silence. The whole world is silent. The hysterical roars and mourning sounds that had come out before that had ceased completely. And in this void, the countless dark red monsters that had originally gathered are now gone. The whole void, the whole world, empty. After 10 breaths, Jian Wushuang's original power of the original universe dissipated. The golden light of the sky also reconverged, and the burning of the divine power in Jian Wushuang's body has also stopped. Many methods have stopped, and Jian Wushuang raised his head, looking around the empty void around him, and his face could not help showing a cheerful smile. Won. I won. Yes, Jian Wushuang won the bet. He squeezed everything into the move he had just done. He used that trick to turn the situation around. Once he can't turn around, he will surely die. There is no possibility of struggling. But in the end, he won. More than 100,000 monsters died in this short period of time in the annihilation of gold light and the strangulation of the realm. Only the two monsters who reached the rank of the survivor survived on stronger strength. But these two general monsters alone can no longer pose a threat to Jian Wushuang. Ha ha ha. I knew that my sword Wushuang's life would not be so easy to lose. Jian Wushuang laughed loudly and laughed wildly. The opposite of Jian Wushuang ring is the two monsters who survived. Roar. Roar. The dark red pupils of these two-level monsters stare like lanterns, and the depths of those pupils are astonished and shocked like never before. Their hearts were shaking and trembling. More than 100,000 ghosts. They have tangled with more than 100,000 ghosts just to kill the humans in front of them. But now, this human has used incredible means to kill and kill more than 100,000 companions in one go. How can they accept this result? The companions you called are extinct, and you too go with your companions. Jian Wushuang's indifferent laughter resounded. With his body moving, he had already killed the monsters at both ends. Although the show just showed a great drain on his divine power, now that the divine power in his body is almost exhausted, Jian Wushuang still has a heavy means, that is, the emperor's demeanor once cultivated. The imperial avatar is a secret technique left by the Lord of the Blood North, which has helped him greatly. But with the sword becoming more and more powerful, especially after breaking through to reach the ruler, this secret technique has become a chicken rib. After all, the role of the imperial avatar is not to conquer the battle. It is only used to store divine power. Jian Wushuang previously refined an empire avatar, but that empire avatar was made from the body of the ruler's body, which can be pure. The amount of divine power is almost the same as that of the normal ruler. When Jian Wushuang is only a saint, this imperial avatar is of great use to him, but when he reaches the ruler of the rule, his divine power is vast, and the divine power that can be stored by a single imperial avatar comes to him. That is minimal. But now, under the premise that the sword unparalleled divine power is almost exhausted, the divine power provided by the emperor's avatar, which is comparable to the rule of the general rule, is of great use to sword unparalleled. At least this part of the power is enough to make him kill the two monsters in front of him, dead. In the sword without eyes, the intention of killing condensed, and Huang Quan's Excalibur immediately turned into two phantoms and ran out. The void was cut apart between these two terrible illusions. There was also the power of that cosmic law. It is this cosmic law that brings the power of these two phantoms to a whole new level. Too fast, with the law of the universe blessing two phantoms. The speed is so fast that the general monsters that are still in terror at the two ends can't resist at all. I saw these two phantoms passing by the bodies of the two monsters at the two ends. There was no room for struggling at the two ends, and the core of the life was directly broken to death. Looking at the corpses of the two general monsters at the foot, Jian Wushuang nodded with satisfaction. This general monster is powerful, and the combat power is definitely the best among the second-level primary masters. I did not use the dragon to destroy it before. Mysticism against one of them is in a disadvantage, but now. I also did not perform dragon mystery, but with the blessing of the law of the universe, it is easy to kill them. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:29, Second more. The law of the universe is originally the supreme power of the vast universe, and it is the supreme power that is truly qualified to enlighten the mastered power. Like Demon Flame, he was an ultimate master at first, and his strength was absolutely the best among the masters. Even if he encountered other masters at the ultimate level, he was not afraid of it, but he encountered a glimpse at first. The rule of the universe ruled, and only one soul body escaped by chance. Realizing a trace of the law of the universe is so huge to dominate ascension, not to mention the ruler. Jian Wushuang now understands a piece of cosmic law. With this blessing of cosmic law, his strength is much improved than before. Even if you don't use dragon extermination, it is easy to kill such a monster. The laws of the universe have been comprehended, and the crisis has been lifted. I don't need to stay in this dim demonic field. Jian Wushuang smiled. He came to wander in the darkened demon realm. It was for the sake of life and death experience, so that he could make a breakthrough. It is best to be able to grasp a trace of the law of the universe. And just now, he has already passed by on the edge of life and death, and has re-experienced that unique feeling. The most important thing is the law of the universe. He has also realized a little. It can be said that his purpose of coming to this dim demon realm has been fully achieved. It is natural that there is no need to continue to rush. There is one more thing, that is this dim demon realm, which is indeed too dangerous. The countless monsters in all corners are scary. Don't watch Jian Wushuang kill more than 100,000 monsters in one breath. But Jian Wushuang knows clearly that these monsters he killed now are less than the entire dim 1/10 of the monster in the domain. And this dim demon realm is not just that simple on the surface. The sword has no intuition. There must be something else hidden in the dim demon realm. Like the two general monsters, Jian Wushuang did not encounter the first time when they seized the life nuclear fragments. It was discovered after the second seizure. The two general monsters are probably from deeper in the dim demonic realm. In other words, there is greater danger in the deeper. If I didn't realize a trace of the law of the universe, I might go a bit deeper, but now it is not necessary. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. He really doesn't need to continue here anymore, but he can just leave. Of course, his divine power is almost exhausted now, and the first thing to do is to apply some divine power before leaving. Not only that, but there are 2 other life nuclear fragments on the previous bloodstone. Although he has now realized a trace of the law of the universe, he has no previous desire for those 2 pieces of life nuclear fragments. But if it can be obtained, it would be the best. Jian Wushuang found a place near this place and began to slowly recover the divine power. Jian Wushuang is the perfect life, and the divine power is too vast. Of course, it will take longer to recover. Jian Wushuang spent 4 months and also absorbed a large amount of rejuvenating elixir and genius. The divine power in his body has also been restored. As soon as the divine power was restored, Jian Wushuang's combat power was at its peak again, and immediately he left for the Bloodstone. This is the 3rd time that Jian Wushuang came near the Bloodstone. For the first time, there were only thousands of monsters guarding the Bloodstone, and the strongest were only elite-level monsters. Near the Bloodstone are tens of thousands of monsters to guard, and 2 extremely powerful generals. Now, Jian Wushuang came here for the 3rd time, but stumbled to find that there were only 200 or 300 monsters guarding this Bloodstone. Apparently, because of the previous strangulation of Jian Wushuang, too many monsters were killed at one time, and the monsters in this area were almost slaughtered. Now, it is only 4 months later, and they arrived in this area from other places. There are not enough monsters. Although the number of monsters is much smaller than before, the remaining 2 life nuclear fragments are still intact and hovering above the Bloodstone. These monsters are really... Jian Wushuang couldn't help sighing. The monsters knew that they had gone to the life nuclear fragment, and they had already been 2 times in a row, but they still didn't know how to put away the 2 life nuclear fragments or hide them. If they were hiding, there would be no way for the sword to match, but it was clear that these monsters did not do so. Perhaps the shards of life are too sacred to these monsters, and these monsters dare not touch them easily. Jian Wushuang could only think like this. With less than 300 heads of monsters, it is naturally impossible to stop Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not need any plans this time, and rushed straight towards the Bloodstone, killing all the monsters blocking him, easily stepping on the Bloodstone and leaving the remaining 2 on the Bloodstone. The pieces of life nuclear debris were also included in Qianqin's ring, and then they left directly. Although those monsters were furious, they also tried to hunt down Jian Wushuang. But Jian Wushuang's current strength, even if besieged by more than 100,000 monsters, he relied on the strangulation power of the combination of Zhilongxiantian array and the magic light field. You can easily get out of the crisis. Not to mention that now this area can't gather so many monsters at all. Natural Sword Wushuang can easily get rid of these monsters. It was 2 pieces of life nuclear fragments in hand, and Jian Wushuang's heart was beautiful. These 2 life nuclear fragments are not small in size. They may contain more cosmic power than the previous 2. If I absorb the cosmic power of the 2 life nuclear fragments, I will have an understanding of the laws of the universe. Is it possible to improve a little? Jian Wushuang could not help thinking, Master, these 2 pieces of life nuclear fragments, I advise you not to absorb them. The sound of the magic flame suddenly sounded why. Jian Wushuang frowned. The cosmic power contained in the life nuclear fragments helped him a lot. Even though he has now realized a little cosmic law, which can absorb the cosmic power of 2 life nuclear fragments, his perception of the cosmic law can be improved to a certain extent, which will greatly help his strength improvement. Master, now you directly absorb the cosmic power in these 2 pieces of life and nuclear fragments. This can indeed improve your perception of the laws of the universe, but the enhancement is also very limited. More than 99% of the cosmic power will be wasted in the process of your absorption, which is really extravagant, Magic Flame said. Luxury? Jian Wushuang stunned. He just wanted to improve his strength as much as possible, but there was no concept of luxury in his mind. Chapter 38:30. Third more. Magic Flame. Do you say that it is a luxury for me to absorb these 2 pieces of life core? Yes. Mo Yen nodded. In the vast universe, it is extremely extravagant and wasteful to absorb the cosmic power by absorbing the power of the cosmos. The master has not understood the cosmic law before, so that's just luxury. But now I have learned a little bit of the law of the universe, and then such extravagance is a bit irrational. But besides absorbing the cosmic power of the period, what else can this nuclear fragment do? Jian Wushuang frowned. For the master and you now, there is really only the only purpose of forcibly absorbing the power of the universe, but for many practitioners in the vast universe, it is completely different. The magic flame is true. I told the master before the immortal ghost is a treasure all over the body, and the most important thing is its life core, which is the mad battle for countless supreme masters. Although the master now is only life core debris, its value is still extraordinary. Do NT talk about the supreme, just talk about the master. In the vast universe, there are countless masters' desire for the laws of the universe. Unfortunately, I can really realize a trace of the laws of the universe at the level of the master. Little pity, even at the peak of me, did not really understand a trace of the law of the universe. And the nucleus of your life in the hands of your master will enable you, a ruler, to realize a trace of the laws of the universe, not to mention the master. I'm sure that any master who reaches the ultimate level can get a piece. Such a life nuclear fragment can easily comprehend a trace of the law of the universe. From this, you can imagine that if the life nuclear fragment is known to those who are the masters, Jian Wushuang felt a shock in his heart. Only half of the words of the magic flame, Jian Wushuang already understood. The life core of the undead ghost is of immense value. Even if it is only a life core fragment, it is enough to make many supreme eyesight and enough to make countless ultimate levels dominate the madness. Such a treasure is really not very useful in his own strength. Even if it is forcibly absorbed, it is at least a little more advanced in the laws of the universe. It will not increase the strength too much, but if he goes to the depths of the universe in the future, these 2 pieces of life nuclear debris are very useful. At that time, he just needs to spread the news casually saying that he wants to sell the lifeless nuclear fragments of the undead ghost. He believes that there will be countless masters coming to him, and he will buy life nuclear fragments from him at all costs. It is better to rely on these 2 pieces of life and nuclear fragments for huge benefits, or simply to exchange a lot of wealth, than it is now forcibly to absorb the cosmic power of the period, and to be a little more advanced in the laws of the universe. You're right, these 2 life nuclear fragments are not very useful to me now, but they are more useful to others, and I don't need to forcefully absorb the 2 life nuclear fragments of the universe now. Wei Neng went to improve such a small part of his strength, but he took it first, waited for it later, and then took it out. Jian Wushuang smiled. After returning these 2 pieces of life and nuclear to Qianquan Ring, Jian Wushuang set out and ran away from the darkened demon realm. After spending several days, Jian Wushuang finally came out of the darkened realm. Come out. After leaving the darkened realm, Jian Wushuang still couldn't help but look at the dark red forest with a cold and dark breath in the back, but sighed secretly in the bottom of his heart. In the forbidden area, there were only 3 top masters in the history of this star field before, and alive came out of this dim demon field. But starting today, there are 4. Jian Wushuang came out. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. On this trip to the dark demon realm, his gains were very great, and he had fully met expectations. He himself was very content, and in the future, maybe one day he will come to this dim demon realm again to understand the real secrets in the deepest part of the dim demon realm, but it is certainly not recent. Xian, space-time, cut sky, heaven ancestor, I have come out of the dark domain. Jian Wushuang also sent a message to his 4 friends for the first time. The 4 knew he had gone to the darkened realm. As for his relatives and friends in the early gods, he only knew that he had come to the battlefield outside the early gods, but did not know how dangerous he went. After Jian Wushuang came out of the dim demon realm, he also fought with them. Say hello. Within the Star Palace, it was learned that Jian Wushuang came out alive from the darkened demon realm, and the 4 people, the Xianxian Taoist, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of the Heavens, and the Heavenly Ancestor were all very excited. Ha! Come out, Tianho Xiaoyu. He really came out alive from the dim demon realm. It's great. Xian Shinto laughed, and the laughter was extremely happy. Well, just come out. I have been nervous before. I'm afraid he will be planted there. Shiqian Alliance sighed lightly. Yeah, the dreaded demon realm. Such a dangerous place. Even if the top master enters it, it is a 9-death life, and only 3 top masters in our star domain history came out alive from inside. So dangerous, who cares? Fortunately, Tianho Xiaoyu has come out alive. From now on, there are 4 people who have come out of the dim demon realm, and Tianho Xiaoyu is just a master of rules. Full-face smile. He is a great friend. Tianho. Tianzu said these words heavily. The 4 of them were frightened when they learned that Jian Wushuang was going to go to the darkened demon realm, and they tried a lot of times during the period to try to dispel the idea of Jian Wushuang, but they failed to stop Jian Wushuang. After the sword Wushuang really entered the darkened realm, the 4 of them have been worried for fear that the sword Wushuang is planted in it. After all, the importance of the sword Wushuang to them is too great for the whole of the early world. That was their only chance. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang came out alive now, and they were finally relieved. Xianxian, please ask him quickly. He can gain something in the dim demon realm, the main hall of space and time. I'm already asking. Mysterious Shinto smiled, and soon got a reply. Tianho Xiaoyu said, this time he has gained something in the dim demon domain, and the harvest is not small. At least he has reached him expected, but he didn't say anything about it, and I didn't ask much. As long as he meets his own expectations, we don't care about the rest. The master of space and time laughed. Yes, since he has already come out of the dim demon realm, should he return to the Star Palace immediately? Chapter 38-31. 4th more. I ask. The mysterious Shinto smiled and continued to inquire. But after asking, the mysterious Shinto man appeared strange. What's wrong? The other 3 immediately looked over. Tianho Xiaoyu said that he would not return directly to Xingong, but would go to the Red Cloud Realm first. Xianxian humane. Red Cloud Realm. The several masters present looked at each other. These few of us, including the many powerful people in this star field, often wait for the Red Cloud Realm to open again. This sword is so good that we don't even have to wait for the Red Cloud Realm to open and just enter the Red Cloud Realm ourselves. The beast-cutting confession skeptical. How do you envy? If you have the ability to pass the test of Tianfeng Peak, maybe you can get the same treatment as Tianho Xiaoyu. Tianzu played with taste, treading Tianfeng. The leader of the Cut Sky Alliance smiled bitterly. Well, Tianho Xiaoyu can directly enter the news of the Red Cloud Realm. Don't spread it. He is going to the Red Cloud Realm now. There should be important things to do. We don't need to ask more. That's it. Waved. Deep in Devil's Smoke Valley, Jian Wushuang, coming out of the darkened demon realm, did not intend to return to the Xingong, but first went to the Red Cloud Realm. In the Red Cloud Realm, the test of the second heaven is there. He didn't understand a single rule of the universe before, so he couldn't break through the test again. But now he has this ability. As long as you can pass the second-day test of the Red Cloud Realm, you can choose 3 of the many treasures in the Red Cloud Realm. It was the ancestors of Red Cloud who stayed in the Red Cloud world personally. Anything is a treasure. Even in the vast universe, it is enough to cause a storm. Even the law treasures have some. Of course, the most important thing is that among the many treasures in the Red Cloud Realm, there is also a heart of the astral realm. That is the treasure that Jian Wushuang attaches the most importance to and needs most. His wife was so frosty that he needed that astral heart to be able to condense a new body and be able to truly reunite with him. This astral heart, he got it anyway. It was impossible to get it before, but now it has this strength, and Jian Wushuang can't wait. Jian Wushuang swept all the way from the depths of the magic smoke valley. Speed is very fast, did not hide his body. Naturally on the way also encountered the master of some rules in the depths of the magic smoke valley. The master of these rules found the sword unparalleled and was shocked. Jian Wushuang entered the dim demon domain at first, but this was seen by somebody, and the news has spread throughout the star domain. At that time, many strong players in this star field were secretly discussing, and some people felt that Jian Wushuang was so brave and admired him. But some people say that he is stupid, too arrogant, and obviously has endless potential, but he has to choose to kill him in the darkened demon realm. There are also people who think that Jian Wushuang can no longer walk out of the dim demon realm and take pleasure in it. In short, this incident caused a great sensation in this star field, and almost 99 people thought that Jian Wushuang feared that it would be difficult to come out of the dim demon field alive. But now, Jian Wushuang stepped out of the dim demon realm. Come out! The Lord of the Blood sword actually came out alive from the darkened realm. How is it possible? The dim demon domain, even the top masters entered it, are all dead. The Lord of the Blood Sword is just the rule master. Although the strength is comparable to the top masters, it should be the bottom master, yes. How can he come out alive from the darkened realm? Not necessarily, although the darkened realm is dangerous. But as far as I know, the top masters can still make breakthroughs, but they can't get any chances. After all, the secrets and chances of the darkened realm are deep, department, and deeper. It is much more dangerous. The Lord of the Blood Sword is likely to rely on his own strength comparable to the top master, and walked around at the outermost part of the darkened demon realm. Yes, it is very likely that if he is the ruler of the rule, if he goes to the depths of the darkened demon realm, I will not believe that he can still come out alive. The news that Jian Wushuang came out alive from the darkened demon domain spread. Countless powerful people are discussing this matter, and they all have their own views. But Jian Wushuang didn't bother with it at all. He walked out of the depths of Moyangu all the way, soon left Moyangu, and then rushed towards Hongshe Mountain at the fastest speed. After arriving at the Redstone Mountain, Jian Wushuang took out the token given by Lord Wu directly to me. With the guidance of the token, Jian Wushuang easily found the entrance to the Red Cloud Realm and entered it. In the Red Cloud Realm, Jian Wushuang just left here more than 20 years ago, but now Jian Wushuang is back here again. Jian Wushuang's first arrival is the first heaven of the Red Cloud Realm. Just arrived here. Little guy, come straight up from Taishanfeng. You can fly straight up, and it won't be hindered. The voice of Lord Wu has already sounded in Jian Wushuang's heart. Jian Wushuang didn't hesitate, and dared to rush to Tiantian Peak at the fastest speed, and then ignored the heavy restrictions on the Tiantian Peak, and proceeded directly to the top of the Tiantian Peak. The haze master is already waiting there. Jian Wushuang, it's only been more than 20 years. You're here? Master Wu looked at Jian Wushuang strangely. Master Fog, the juniors came this time to test the second sky. Jian Wushuang said directly. Oh, Master Wu stared for a moment. I told you before, the test of the second day. You must understand a little cosmic law before you can break through. Do you already understand a little cosmic law now? This is over for more than 2 decades. It is impossible. Even from the perspective of Master Wu, he did not believe that in just 20 years, Jian Wushuang had realized a trace of the law of the universe. Is there a comprehension? I will know when I go there once. Jian Wushuang smiled. Very confident. It seems that I really understand. Master Wu smiled slightly, but followed by a wave, a space channel appeared out of thin air. Come with me. Jian Wushuang immediately followed Master Wu and entered the second sky of the Red Cloud realm. That is, the island with many opportunities. The test of the second sky is in the towering palace in the middle of the island. You go. Master Wu pointed to the direction of the palace. Jian Wushuang nodded his head, his figure flickered, and soon came to the towering palace. The ancient atmosphere of the palace exudes a special atmosphere. Jian Wushuang did not stay in front of the palace and stepped directly into the palace. Chapter 38-32, Fifth More. Inside the palace, there is no cave. This is a huge and unspoiled ancient martial arts field. There is nothing over the martial arts field. When Jian Wushuang appeared on this ancient martial arts field, hey, a figure fell from the sky. The dark armors and boots also have dark trenches on their heads. The whole body is extremely huge and looks like a black hill. This man from the sky has a very stout body. Haha, it's been many years, and finally someone came to Lao Tzu. The sturdy man in the dark armor of the whole body made a low hissing sound, and the eyes like the dark gems had completely locked the sword unparalleled. Looking at the test on the first heavy step on Tianfeng. Do I need to defeat the opponent in front of me? Jian Wushuang also stared at the sturdy man in front of him. Intuition told him that this sturdy man should be very strong. But he didn't care. First of all, the test of the Red Cloud world did not imply a crisis of life and death. Secondly, Master Wu has said that as long as he understands a bit of the law of the universe, he can pass through this retest. And then this retest cannot help him. Boy, for the first time in many years you have come to Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu will have fun with you and will not try to beat you all the time next time. The sturdy man sneered. Then I advise you to come up with all your strength from the beginning. Otherwise, you will not have this opportunity. Jian Wushuang chuckled. Ha ha, good boy, look at the sword. The sturdy man used a weapon, and even a 3-meter-long sword. This sword was domineering, and his attack was extremely simple and rude. Wow! With an outrageous slash, Jian Wushuang instantly felt the existence of a total of 6 kinds of heaven and earth rules from this sword, and these 6 kinds of heaven and earth rules were perfectly integrated. At the same time, the sword also contains the extremely rich origin of the knife path universe, which makes this knife slash down, and the layers of void produce a phantom. What a delicate sword! Jian Wushuang couldn't help but marvel. Although he is not good at knife path, Kendo has a lot in common with knife path, and his perception of the origin of Kendo universe is extremely high. Now he can see at a glance that the sturdy man's origin of the knife path universe contained in this sturdy man's swordsmanship is extremely rich. His perception of the origin of the knife path universe is at least not lower than his own perception of the origin of the sword world, and even stronger. Jian Wushuang also immediately shot. Huang Quan's Excalibur waved, also with a strong origin of Kendo universe. In the blink of an eye, the two collided in the void, creating a fierce spark. Huh! Ha! 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 The speed of Jian Wushuang broke out completely, moving close and close again and again in an attempt to gain an advantage in the fierce battle with this sturdy man by relying on his body. But the sturdy man also issued a black streamer, as if all the black ghosts were confusing, and the speed was faster than Jian Wushuang to a strange degree, even above Jian Wushuang's body. As for divine power, the two are completely equivalent. Clang, 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 clang. On the ancient martial arts field, Jian Wushuang fought fiercely and fiercely with this sturdy man, and the battle was fierce. The sturdy man is faintly better than Jian Wushuang in both knife path understanding and swordsmanship, but this gap is very small. Jian Wushuang can still fight with his front. In a short time, this sturdy, it is also difficult for men to gain the upper hand. Haha, it's not bad. You can persist in the hands of Lao Tzu for so long without even falling into the wind. Your talents are stronger than those of the disciples and even a small number of inner disciples. I personally set the test of Lao Tzu, but it is a lot higher in difficulty. Depending on your current strength, you can't break through the level of Lao Tzu. The sturdy man laughed. Suddenly he stretched out his hand, and on the other empty palm, a similar 3-meter-long knife appeared. What? Jian Wushuang was startled, just wielding a sword. The strength of this sturdy man's outburst is faintly suppressing him. Now, this sturdy man has 2 big swords at the same time, and with this sturdy man's shot and waving 2 handles at the same time, the sword is unparalleled, and he can see that he is using a double blade. The 2 large blades are in a rush to show them. In the face of a sturdy man who has just used a sword, Sword Wushuang can also compete head-on without falling into the wind. But now, facing 2 large knives at the same time, Jian Wushuang can only passively resist. Once 1 or 2 go, Jian Wushuang fell completely into the downwind. Huh! With a dull sound, Jian Wu's stature suddenly exploded, widening the distance from the sturdy man. Ha! Boy, you are not my opponent. You should leave first and come back next time. The sturdy man looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile. Jian Wushuang also laughed. No wonder Lord Fog said that only by grasping a bit of the laws of the universe can he break through the test of the second day. This guy is really terrible. Jian Wushuang admired. After entering this palace, he found that his divine power was limited. He could only exert the power of ordinary primary masters. Any other mysterious means of improving divine power could not be performed, and the sturdy man's divine power is also the primary dominating level, just like him. The divine power is quite the same. The competition is naturally the understanding of Tao, the skill of swordsmanship, and knives. However, this sturdy man has a very high level of understanding of the knife path and the method of swordsmanship. He has already merged the 6 heaven and earth rules, and the swordsmanship contains the power of the fusion of the 6 rules. In almost every respect, he is stronger than himself. Especially when the 2 big swords came out, he was not an opponent at all. In this case, even if he had a great improvement in swordsmanship or sword art, he was afraid that he would not be able to really this sturdy man defeated. So there is only one possibility to defeat this sturdy man. Realize a trace of the law of the universe. Boy, why are you still not willing to give up? The sturdy man looked at Jian Wushuang with interest. Give up. You think too much. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently and then shot again. The same shot, the same as this sturdy man close-killed. Even the swordsmanship is the same. But the difference is that this time when the sword unparalleled swordsmanship performed the sword, there is a special force contained in the sword. This special power is simply the trace of the cosmic law he has comprehended. With the integration of this cosmic law, the sword skill of Jian Wushuang is completely different. Chapter 38-33. Sixth more. The law of the universe. The sturdy man also instantly noticed the changes in Jian Wushuang's sword operation, and his pupils stared round. He is the master of the rules. Did he really realize a trace of the laws of the universe? The sturdy man's face was incredible. He is still in this red cloud realm, and I do know how many years. He is very clear about the significance of this retest. A ruler who wants to pass his test must comprehend a rule of the universe. In order to receive the true disciples, Zhu deliberately increased the difficulty of the test. Since the red cloud burst, the sturdy man thought that no one would meet such requirements. But now, someone really arrived. Genius, a super genius, is rare in billions of stars. I met one today. The sturdy man couldn't help but be excited. No choice but to be excited. The ruler can comprehend a bit of the law of the universe. Such a super genius is absolutely rare even in the vast universe. Anyone, even if placed in the deepest part of the universe, will be regarded as a treasure by those top powers, and countless top-level supremes are eager to receive such geniuses as disciples, like the original Red Cloud ancestors. Although there were many disciples, and even true disciples under Hongyun's pulse, the Red Cloud ancestors were not very satisfied with these disciples, so they deliberately increased the second-day test of the Red Cloud realm. The difficulty is to collect such a disciple for careful training, but whoever thought that such a disciple had not yet been found, the ancestor of Hongyun himself was dead, and even the whole vein of Hongyun was directly destroyed, and the kingdom of God collapsed. The ancestor of Red Cloud is a top-level supreme, and he did not even have the opportunity to accept such a disciple. It is conceivable how dazzling and remarkable the super talent in this level is in the universe. There is no doubt that, as long as the genius does not fall midway, it must be a top existence in the future, and it must be a big man. Even if this sturdy man is in the strongest period, he will finally dominate the hierarchy. It will certainly be exciting and even honored to see such a super genius. As for the next test, the moment sword warriors applied the law of the universe, the sturdy man knew that he could not stop sword warriors. Because once the law of the universe is used, no matter whether it is powerful or subtle, the swordsmanship of swordsmanship is far from being able to compare. Even if you use two large swords at the same time, you can show as much strength as possible. Was crushed by the sword unparalleled. Sure enough, the final result was naturally that Jian Wushuang easily lifted to win. This second cloud test of the Red Cloud realm, Jian Wushuang broke through. Outside the palace, Master Wu stood there. He had received the news that Jian Wushuang had passed the test of the second day, but his eyes couldn't help getting wet. For many years, I've been in a red cloud. Finally, a super genius rarely seen in the billions of stars has finally appeared. And finally, someone has truly met the requirements of the master, but his master has already... if this little guy was born early, dozens of chaos ages have come to this red cloud realm early, and have been met by the host. How good it is. Master Wu felt a little emotion, but there was a trace of sadness in his heart. The gate of the palace opened, and Jian Wushuang, who had passed the test, came out slowly from the inside. Master Wu, fortunately shameless. Jian Wushuang came to Master Wu with a smile. Well, you are very good. Master Wu also nodded in appreciation. He had to appreciate it. Super geniuses rarely seen in billions of stars, and Jian Wushuang itself is a more rare perfect life. The combination of these two, Jian Wushuang's future potential is simply inestimable. If such a super genius is his master Hongyun, the ancestor is definitely going to fight mad, like crazy. Of course, he can only praise the excellent swordsman. Come on, go with me to the third heaven. With a wave of his hand, Master Wu, another space channel immediately appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. The third heaven of the Red Cloud realm is above an ancient altar. This altar has a range of tens of thousands of miles, and the ground is empty and nothing else exists. Jian Wushuang and Lord Wu are on this altar, standing face to face. Little guy, you have passed the test of the double sky of the Red Cloud realm. From today on, you are a disciple of Red Cloud's inner disciples. Mist Wu said. Sword Warrior nodded slightly. His appearance remained unchanged. Of course, the identity of the disciples in Hongyun Imai might have been a little heavier if put in the past, but now, even if they say it, not many people know. Even if they know, many of them are the enemies of Hongyun Imai. Therefore, if you go to the depths of the universe in the future, it is better not to reveal this identity easily. Mist Humane. Jian Wushuang nodded again. Hongyun Ipu, the old ancestor of Hongyun, once was the top and supreme, even opened up a great kingdom of God. At that time, Hongyun Ipu can be said to be extremely strong, but at the same time, Hongyun Ipu will certainly have many enemies. Existence, whether it is to compete with it on the bright side, or because it is not strong enough, can only choose to hide in secret. The number is certainly a lot. Now that Red Cloud's pulse has been destroyed, if he takes the identity of the disciple inside Hongyun Pulse to go to the depths of the universe, I am afraid it will be easy to attract some strong men who have had hatred with Red Cloud's pulse to come and kill him. According to the rules established by the host at the beginning, you can now choose 3 of the many treasures in the Red Cloud realm as your reward. After finishing speaking, Lord Wu, he waved his hand stunned, and instantly the surrounding void pieces of treasure emerged one after another. These treasures are of all kinds, and all exude an extremely unique atmosphere. Treasures are here, you can pick them yourself. If you don't understand, you can ask me. Master Wu. Jian Wushuang's eyes released a special light, looking around at the many treasures that appeared in front of him. These treasures are suspended there one by one, and any one of them makes Jian Wushuang extremely extraordinary, and all these treasures add up to hundreds. 104. Jian Wushuang already knows the exact number of these treasures. A total of 104 treasures were left by the ancestors of Hongyun, and any one of the 104 treasures was taken out to go. It is enough for many masters to be blinded and even crazy. Where's that astral heart? Jian Wushuang asked. Astral heart? With a look of Master Wu, he slightly beckoned. Among the 104 treasures, one of the milky white light floated towards him. Chapter 38-34. The first is more. This is the heart of the astral world. Looking at the milky light group in front, Jian Wushuang was extremely excited. The heart of the astral world is the essence of the endless years accumulated by one side of the astral world, and it is extremely versatile. And with this astral heart, you can create a new body. This bonus innate advantages will be extremely huge, and the talent potential is excellent. Too much. Master Fog, this first treasure, I will choose this astral heart. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate. 3 treasures. The first must be the heart of the astral world. With this astral heart, he can truly reunite with his wife. Well, Master Wu nodded slightly and was not surprised by Jian Wushuang's choice. This astral heart, you are used to restore the body of your wife, but the 2 remaining treasures, you better choose your own. Master Wu said, Of course. Jian Wushuang smiled, and even among the remaining 103 treasures, Xian began to carefully select them. There are 2 treasures that can be selected. First of all, Sword Wushuang must choose a rule treasure that is suitable for his own use, and it is best to have a magic sword suitable for himself. So Jian Wushuang first looked at those rules of treasure. Among the 103 treasures, the proportion of the rule of the treasure is quite large, almost half. And among these many rules of the treasure, The rule of the magic sword-type treasure is only two handles. Jian Wushuang's eyes were locked directly on one of the exquisite swords. It was a black, exquisite sword exuding gloom. The black Excalibur gradually floated there. There was nothing strange in this look, but Jian Wushuang had a very high sense of the origin of the Kendo universe. When he saw this black Excalibur, his pupils narrowed sharply. Under the surface calmness, this black Excalibur hides an unprecedented coldness and darkness. The most important thing is that this black magic sword has an incredible power. This power seems to be able to tear everything in the heavens and the earth. At the moment when Jian Wushuang stared at this black power sword, the power in the black power sword was as powerful as tear his soul in half, heartbreaking and frightening. What a terrible Excalibur! Jian Wushuang was excited physically and mentally. Among the many Excaliburs he has seen, there is no doubt that this black Excalibur is the most terrifying. Even the strongest Huang Baoquan Excalibur in his hand, compared with this black Excalibur, is more star-studded than Haoyue without any comparability at all. Master Wu, what is the name of this magic sword? Jian Wushuang asked. Magic sword Wu cry. Wu the humane. There are countless various cosmic treasures in the Red Cloud realm, even the strongest cosmic treasures. Master Mist is too lazy to remember the name, but the 104 treasures left by the ancestor of Red Cloud himself. Anyone they are always remembered clearly, not only their names, but also their level and purpose. Wu Wei. Jian Wushuang stunned. This name is so strange. It's weird, but the power isn't weak. Why, you want this magic sword? Master Wu looked over. Sword Wushuang looked around at the other rules of the treasure, and then nodded. The second treasure. I want this Wu crying magic sword. Although there is another divine sword among these laws and treasures, the sword is a long sword with a wide blade and should be focused on power. This sword is unparalleled. After all, the swords that Jian Wushuang has been using are extremely thin and extremely sharp, and that magic sword Wu Wei is an extremely sharp sword. Well, you have a good vision. Master Wu nodded with a smile. The rule of treasure is divided into 3 grades. Even if the rule of treasure is precious, only the masters of the 4th and 5th grades are generally eligible. The rule of Chinese goods is the treasure, which is usually used by the ultimate masters and a few weaker supremes. And the Wu weapon sword you have chosen is a top-class rule treasure, which is already the most supreme and used by the magic soldier. The rule of top grade is the most precious. Most of the supreme. Are they using this level of soldiers? Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly lighted. He did not expect that the magic sword he had chosen was not only a rule of treasure, but also a top-grade one, and the value was obviously higher than that of ordinary low and medium-quality rules. Suddenly, most supreme use only this level of magic soldiers, but there are some extremely powerful, reaching the highest level of supreme, such as the level of the ancestor of Red Cloud. What level of rule is the most precious? Jian Wushuang could not help asking. Up to the level of the master. The strength of the world is terrific. The magical treasures they use have already surpassed the rule of treasures and reached a whole new level. Of course, that level is far away from you. Now you just want to, it's too early to give full play to the power of this Wu Cry sword. Jian Wushuang smiled dumbly. Indeed, the rule is precious, and it is generally necessary to understand a little bit of the cosmic law to be able to barely exert its power. This is just barely exerting a little power, but not all power. Just a rule of inferior quality is a treasure, and Jian Wushuang is afraid that he can barely master the show, let alone a rule of superior quality. You have already picked 2 treasures, and there is one last chance left. You will cherish it, said Master Wu. Well, the sword had no double focus. He also knew that this opportunity was rare. Of the remaining 102 treasures, any one of them is extremely valuable. Many of them are of great use to the sword, and he has only one last chance, so he must consider it carefully. The first consideration of Jian Wushuang is still the rule of treasure. After all, he now only got Wu Xing's attack on the magic soldier, even after returning to the early world of the gods. Refining the town's sky monument is only a repressive rule. Tianbei is extremely special. As for the treasures of the treasure, realm, and flying, he doesn't have any. If he can get a warframe type of treasure, it will be enough to increase his body protection ability. The domain or flying category can also enhance his strength. As for other types of treasures, they may be extremely precious, but there are not many who can really improve his strength. He now has a heavy burden on his body. The whole life and death of the gods in the early days were on him, so it is the most urgent task to strengthen his own strength. Chapter 38-35. Second more. Jian Wushuang carefully looked at the rules of the treasure, and at the same time he could get some basic information from these rules of treasure. The band of intoxicants, the rule of inferiority, is extremely precious, and the ring can be formed to suppress the opponents. There are 5 different powers in the evil area. The first power, the power of evil, floods all areas of the field. After the practitioners fall into the field, they are not the first-ranking masters and cannot be resisted. They must die. The strength of the second series can be suppressed by 40%, and the speed of the third series is affected. Second-level power. The second-level dominator will die after falling into the field, and the third-level dominate. Third heavy power. When Jian Wushuang saw the message from the sinister ring, he could not help breathing down. Very scary. Is terrible. Once the realm is formed, the power of the evil fills all parts of the field. Within the scope of the field, any practitioner will be eroded by the power of the evil. The first power alone is enough to sweep all practitioners below the top master. In other words, if he got this insidious ring and showed the first power in the insidious ring field, it would be enough to easily kill more than half of the 100,000 monsters who had besieged him in the dim, demonic realm directly. If he cooperated again, if the Shuangguang realm and Julong Tiantian array are performing with stronger power, I am afraid that the second-level elementary level masters will not be able to survive in this sinister realm. This is just the first power. It is worthy of the rule of treasure, although it is only substandard. Jian Wushuang hissed, and then looked at the other rule of treasure. Crazy battle gear, the rule of Chinese goods arcana battle gear, is divided into 4 powers. The first powerful power can evoke 1,000 times the power of the basic master. Second-level power can provoke 10,000 times the power of the base. Third heavy power. Jian Wushuang looked at the message from the rule of treasure, dazzled, and at the same time his heart was secretly shocked. The rule of treasure is indeed far from the average universe treasure can be compared. Even if it is the strongest level of the universe treasure, even if it is the best of them, it will take dozens of pieces before it can be exchanged for a rule of the lowest quality. The reason for this is indeed too much difference in power. There are dozens of rules in front of this dense treasure, and any one of them has earth-shattering power. But Jian Wushuang looked at the rules of the treasure, but his brows were already frowned. Although these laws are extremely powerful and valuable, the key is that my current strength is too weak, and I just realized a trace of the laws of the universe. With my current strength, I am afraid that most of the laws are precious. I can urge the first power, and some have lower thresholds, and can barely urge the second power, but the first power and the second power do not help me much. Jian Wushuang secretly said, "It's simple." These strongest treasures in his hand now, after he mastered a little cosmic law, most of them have already been able to exert their powers. like Yujin dragon armor, he can already urge the third power. The blessing of 60% of the dragon's power is a huge boost to his strength, and if it is replaced with the mad monster armor of the highest treasure level of the rule of Chinese goods, he estimates that he can only barely give out the first power and exert 1,000 times the power of basic domination. Although it is 1,000 times the power of domination, but only on the basis of the divine power, it is estimated that 1,000 times has reached the power of the second-level higher master. Although for him, the power has also been greatly improved, but this improvement does not really surprise Jian Wushuang. Most of the other rules are the same. In other words, Wu weapon sword, as an attacking magic weapon, can increase the attack power of sword unparalleled, which is really useful to him. I only have one last chance. The treasures to be selected must be really useful to me so that my strength soars, or treasures that can help me in the early world of God to better against the magic cloud star. And these other rules are precious. Maybe when I go to the universe battlefield in the future, my strength will gradually improve, and it will be more helpful to me, but at this stage, it is of limited usefulness to me. Jian Wushuang frowned and continued to look at other rules of treasure. One piece of the rule, the precious treasure, floated from the front of Jian Wushuang, and Jian Wushuang was not too satisfied. But at this moment, a mini tower with 3 different colors, black, white, and purple, suddenly appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked at the 3-color tower, and at the same time got the information of the tower. The triple path, the rule of inferior goods, is precious. Simple information. There is only the name of this precious treasure, the hierarchy, the others, but nothing, and it does not even indicate what type of rule is precious treasure. This makes Jian Wushuang strange. Master Wu, what is going on in this 3-color tower? Jian Wushuang asked. 3-colored tower? Master Wu looked at the 3-colored tower, but followed with a smile. That's the triple path, and it's a special rule. Special? What a special law? Jian Wushuang asked. If you want to say the type of the triple path, it should be regarded as the rule of the domain class. After all, this triple path contains the triple field, and the power is pretty good, at least better than the triple you took away when you left. The magic light mirror is much stronger, but it is far worse than other domain laws. Master Wu smiled. It's far worse than the other areas of the class rule arcana. Jian Wushuang stumbled. Although the power of the domain is indeed more valuable than other domain laws, but the real role of the triple path is not the domain, but the triple world contained in the triple path. This triple world is the world of cultivation. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang got interested. The triple cultivation world, as the name suggests, is used to help practitioners cultivate. Master Wu began to explain. The first one is the world of cultivation, that is, the tower exudes a black world, which contains a variety of laws of heaven and earth, including some unique cultivation environments mainly aimed at saint-level practitioners, and some will reach the top of the saint when a cultivator enters this first world. He can use these special cultivation environments to gradually understand a rule of heaven and earth in order to meet the requirements of those who break through the rules. End of this chapter. Chapter 38-36. Third more. That is to say, this first Taoist realm can help the undead saint to break through and become the ruler of the rule. Jian Wushuang's expression moved. Of course it can, and the effect is very great. Under normal circumstances, 10 saints who have reached the top level, after entering the first realm, spend some time trying to cultivate enlightenment. There should be 7 or 8 directly, those who have broken through to the ruler, and the rest who have not broken through. If there is no way to break through to become the ruler in the first-class world, then unless he encounters great opportunities in the future, he is afraid that he will never want to break through again. Mist is humane. Jian Wushuang's eyes were fully lit. 10 undead saints, after entering the first realm, have 7 or even 8 who can directly break through and become the rulers. This effect was naturally useless to him, but it was too useful for many practitioners in the early world of the gods. How many immortal saints in the early world of God? There are many at the top level of saints. Like when the blood world was opened, in order to win the possibility of breaking the rule of the rule, many sages suddenly entered more than 100,000 top sages. This is under the premise that all parties have agreed to limit the number of people. If there is no limit, there will be more saints pouring into the bloodstream. And the cultivation environment in this first way world may not be as good as the opportunity in the blood world, but it is probably not too bad. The difference is that the blood wave world can only allow 10 people to get that chance at a time, and at most, only 10 people can break through and become the rule master. However, this first way world has no such restriction. As long as it is to enter, the top saints in the first realm can try to break through in the cultivation environment of the first realm. In other words, he completely relied on this first Tao realm to create a large number of rulers in the early divine realm. In the early days, there will be a battle between divine realm and magic cloud stars sooner or later. Although the main force participating in the battle will definitely be the master at that time. If there are only hundreds or thousands of rulers, there must be no impact on the battle situation. Or even the master of hundreds of thousands of rules, the impact on the war situation will be greater. By the way, this triple world has 3 worlds. The first world is for the undead saint. What about the second world? Jian Wushuanglian asked. The second world, of course, is aimed at the ruler. Master Wu smiled. The second world of Tao also contains a lot of rules of heaven and earth, and is extremely rich and profound. It is enough to make it easier for the ruler to master the other, the rules of heaven and earth. As well as the process of the fusion of heaven and earth rules, can be said that the second Taoist realm can allow a weakest rule master to cultivate step by step to the top of the rule master. Even if luck well, you can practice all the way to the level of domination. Of course, if the ruler breaks through the ruler, then the probability cannot be as high as that of the first way. Under normal circumstances, 100 rulers who have reached the top level of the rule practice in the second way. Over time, there can be 2 or 3 who can break through and become the masters. Lord Wu said the wind was light and light, but Jian Wushuang heard it, but his head was a little cyanotic. 100 top-level rulers can wash their faces in the second-level path for a period of time. Can 2 or 3 break through and become the masters? Is this probability not high? In this star field, the number of rule masters is endless, and the number of rule masters who reach the top level are endless. Can they dominate? All the masters in the entire star domain add up to less than 100. Like the early gods, there are no more than 5 alive masters. How hard can it be to become the master? In this star field, the masters of countless rules want to break through and become masters. However, they are not so capable and have no chance. After all, it is almost impossible for the masters of most rules to integrate the 4 rules. And there are places where 2 or 3 of them can break through. This is definitely a huge opportunity for many top rulers. Jian Wushuang can imagine that if he spreads this news, I am afraid that the entire astral field will be shaken, and the masters of countless rules will enter the second realm of madness. And it will be fine for them to pay a great price, because that the probability of breaking through is too high, and it is worth their desperation. The first Tao realm is aimed at the undead saint. The second Tao realm is aimed at the ruler. Then the third Tao realm, isn't it? Jian Wushuang couldn't help looking at the great humanity. You guessed it, the third Tao realm is aimed at the master. Of course, the master in the universe can also be regarded as a person. These 3 Tao realms are only the treasures of the rule of inferiority. dominating the practice is helpful, but at most, it is also useful for the first-ranking dominator. At the second-ranking dominating level, it is very difficult to continue to improve the strength by the triple path. Wutai Humane. It's enough to help the first-level master. Jian Wushuang was extremely excited. The first level dominates. 99% of the stars are dominated by the first rank, like the mysterious gods who are in the same camp with him. They are only dominated by the first rank. Even in the first rank, reaching the top level, this third Dao sector has a great effect on these few. The triple path realm may not be of much use to me, but it will be of much use to the whole early divine realm. If I bring this triple world back to Taichu divine realm, and then let the many immortal saints and rulers of Taichu divine unconditionally enter and practice in it, then in a short period of time, my high-level combat power of Taichu divinity with a 10-fold and a 100-fold increase. As long as I have enough time in the early divine realm, by then I will be able to create a large number of masters and rulers of countless rules. Even if the army of the demon star is killed, I can fight it positively with the combat power of the world. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly, and his eyes also shone with a strong light. Indeed, this triple realm is an incredible opportunity for countless practitioners in the early divine realm. In the early days, the realm of the gods can also rely on the triple path of the realm to increase its power in a short period of time. And Jian Wushuang's efforts to improve his strength so hard are to help Taichu divine realm get out of crisis. The help of the triple Taoism to Taichu divine realm is even greater than his help to Taichu divine realm. Master Fog, I've decided. For the last treasure, I will choose these triple paths. Jian Wushuang hardly need to consider. End of this chapter. Chapter 38-37. Fourth more. Don't regret it. Master Wu looked at Jian Wushuang. In fact, in his opinion, this opportunity is so rare, Jian Wushuang should choose some treasures that will greatly help him in the future. But the three treasures that Sword's warriors have chosen, that is, the Wu Weeping Sword is used by himself, and the other two are obviously prepared for others. Do not regret it. Jian Wushuang, but Zheng Jianjian head. Okay, I respect your choice. Master Wu smiled slightly, followed by a wave. Except for the three treasures selected by Jian Wushuang, all other treasures disappeared in front of Jian Wushuang. 3 treasures are here. You take care of it yourself. Master Wu said. Jian Wushuang looked at the 3 treasures floating in front of his eyes. The milky white light group, the black Excalibur exudes gloom, and the last 3-colored tower rejoicing inside. He ignored the black Excalibur and the 3-colored tower first, but looked directly at the milky light group. Master Fog, how can I use this astral heart? Jian Wushuang asked. Aren't you going to restore the deity for your wife? Is your wife's soul body? Here. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and took out the billion-year-old agarwood. His wife's frosty soul body was attached to the agarwood of the stars and moons. Oh, the mister glanced at Xingyue agarwood. With his ability, he could naturally feel the soul in Xingyue agarwood, but he shook his head and smiled. Your star field is so remote, sure enough, there is nothing good. To save a soul body, all these garbage things are used. Trash. Jian Wushuang stunned. Xingyue agarwood, but it is still billion-year-old. Shouldn't it be bad? Little guy, at first glance you are the one who has seen many worlds. And yes, in this remote star field, how many good things can you see? The billion-year-old Xingyue agarwood is estimated to be your only one. You have something you can use to save your soul body. Master Wu smiled. But what I want to tell you is that this billion-year-old Xingyue Agarwood can indeed save your wife's soul body. But as time goes by, the quality of this Xingyue Agarwood will become lower and lower, and the effect will naturally increase. It's getting worse. And if I read correctly, your wife's soul is attached to this billion-year-old star moon and Agarwood for tens of thousands of years. For such a long time, the effect of this astral moon and Agarwood has been reduced from the billion-year level to the 10-million-year level. Your soul body is attached to this level of moon, and Agarwood, more or less, was slightly damaged. What? Jian Wushuang was startled. Has his wife's soul body been damaged a little? How could this be? Little guy, I heard you say before, do you plan to ask Bingxin Liliu to shape your wife's body? Master Wu smiled and looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. If he didn't know the existence of the astral heart, he could only find a way to find a Bingxin glass jade to shape the body for his wife. Oh, I can tell you that when your wife's soul has been damaged a little, you can use Bingxin glazed jade to restore your deity. Then in the end, though the will recover, your wife's soul will be mostly missing at that time. Your wife may not be your wife. Master Wu laughed. Is there such a thing? In fact, this can't blame you. After all, you don't know much about it. And even if your wife has suffered some damage to the soul, it can be attached to the Agarwood of Xingyue, and you can't detect it. So naturally, you don't take some other measures. I thought that using Bingxin glazed jade could restore the body of your wife. Master Wu continued to laugh. But you have good luck. You can come here and pass the test of the second sky of the Red Cloud Realm, and the host just left a heart of the astral realm here. Master Fog, do you mean that the God-shaped body formed by the heart of the astral world will not make my wife's soul lack? Jian Wushuanglian asked. Of course. Master Wu laughed. How precious is the heart of the astral world. Even if it is the ultimate master of all the net worth, it may not be worth a heart of the astral world. Even the supreme power of the astral heart will be extremely important. How could it be possible to have a defect in the soul with such a restored body? I tell you, you use this astral heart to restore your wife's divine body. Your wife's spiritual body will not only fully recover, but also nourish the astral heart. It will become much stronger than before. In the future, her potential will also be immense, and becoming a master is easy. Even if she becomes a master, there is a great possibility. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang relaxed. Following Jian Wushuang, he looked up. Master Wu, what should I do now? Simple. The core of this astral heart is not matter, but some extraordinary special energies. Now, you only need to direct those special energies in the astral heart into Xingyue Agarwood, and that is attached to the Xingyue Agarwood. Your wife's soul will naturally be absorbed. After absorption, her soul will undergo metamorphosis, and then she will shape the body by herself. This process may take some time, but it will not take too long. It is estimated to be 3,000 or 4,000 years. Mist is humane. So long, Jian Wushuang frowned. He couldn't wait to meet his wife. It's mainly because your wife's soul absorbs the astral plane and changes. It takes a long time, but it doesn't take long to shape the body. Wu to humanity. It's nothing. I've waited for so many years, and it's okay for another 3,000 or 4,000 years. Jian Wushuang kept his heart anxious. Then Jian Wushuang began to guide the special energies in the heart of the astral world under the guidance of Lord Wu. The special energy in the heart of the astral world is the essence of the heavens and earth that astral world has accumulated during the entire chaotic period and has the effect of capturing the heavens and the earth. If it is in the hands of the top powerful men, this energy has a greater effect. Jian Wushuang is now used to absorb his wife's soul body, but it is actually a big deal. But for Jian Wushuang, no precious treasure can be compared. He was reunited with his wife. Soon, Those special energies in the heart of the astral realm were guided by Jian Wushuang into the agar wood of Xingyue. Jian Wushuang can also sense that those special energies have been absorbed by his wife's soul body, and then his wife's soul body begins to slowly transform. However, even in the process of soul transformation, his wife's consciousness still fell into a deep sleep, and he was still not awakened. In this regard, the sword was unparalleled and helpless, and could only wait patiently. End of this chapter. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 3838. Fifth more. In the third heaven of the Red Cloud realm, on the ancient altar, the billion-year-old Xingyue agarwood is suspended there, and its body surface has a layer of milky light looming. Xingyue agarwood, the cold body of the soul, is undergoing unprecedented transformation. This transformation process takes a long time, and Jian Wushuang did not wait beside him all the time, but went to the second day. On the second day, there are various opportunities on that island. At the time, Jian Wushuang Island spent thousands of years, and its kendo, swordsmanship, and other aspects have been greatly improved. But Jian Wushuang is very clear most of the opportunities on the island he can only see but cannot touch. But now it's different. After learning a bit of the law of the universe, many opportunities on the island really began to have a great effect on him. Like many people on the island who have deepened their understanding of the laws of the universe, he has not realized it before, so how can they deepen it? But now it works. In addition, after understanding a bit of the law of the universe, Jian Wushuang was also able to delve deeper into the sword technique that envelopes the law of the universe. In this way, Jian Wushuang improved his strength on the second heaven by means of opportunity to understand, while waiting for his cold, chilling soul to complete transformation. Time passes slowly. In a flash, 3,300 years passed. On one of the islands, there are 11 huge sword stones suspended there, and Jian Wushuang is standing under one of them. He closed his eyes slightly, and in his mind was constantly feeling the artistic conception of the sword art in the sword stone, and the Huangquan Excalibur in his hand also moved naturally. Wow! The void in front of him seemed to be plunged into a continuous sea, and countless waves of layers spread endlessly. These waves are sometimes violent, rolling up huge waves, sometimes soft, as if the spring breeze hit the face. From time to time, it was like a mighty army. The simple sword has no double-sided front, and there is no enemy in the void. Otherwise it will be caught in this endless wave sweeping. I am afraid that I will show my best. I am afraid that it will be difficult to get out. Finally, Jian Wushuang stopped the action in his hand. The endless waves finally stopped, and the void in front of them was restored to calmness. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes with a smile in his eyes. Under this sword stone, I learned about the sword technique in it for 800 years, and finally realized the trick of wave light. This trick, combining several kinds of artistic conceptions, was brought into it by the laws of the universe. Endless, although the power is not strong, cannot be compared with my perfect hazy swordsmanship, but if it is used to trap the enemy or entangled with people, it is better. Jian Wushuang chuckled. Road. The swordplay wave is different from the haze he created before. Misty swordsmanship is killing enemies, and mighty power is extremely powerful. After the sword has learned a little of the cosmic rules, he has studied for another 3,300 years in this second day. Misty swordsmanship has been further improved. Mighty swordsmanship is stronger than before. Much more. The swordplay wave is a kind of entangled enemy swordsmanship. Once the swordplay comes out, the sword will be endless, and there is no end. Those who fight against him will be able to break the sword force by force unless they are far stronger than him. Even if the other party's understanding of the Tao is stronger than himself, he will be involved in this endless wave and cannot escape. This move is bound to become one of Jian Wushuang's strongest sword moves. From now on, I have created 3 of the strongest sword tricks. My swordplay system is barely a bit of a way. Jian Wushuang smiled. The 3 strongest sword moves he created: attack and kill, hazy, guardian swordsmanship, guarding the earth, and the sword light that has just been created. The 3 major sword moves: the obscure main attack and kill. The earth guard is the main protective body. The wave light master entangles the trapped enemy. The 3 major sword techniques complement each other, and when combined, they can barely be regarded as a swordsmanship system. Of course, this swordsmanship system is not complete, and there is still a lot of room for improvement. Sword unparalleled. Lord Wu's voice suddenly sounded in Jian Wushuang's heart. Jian Wushuang stayed in the Red Cloud realm for so long. The adult Mr. already knew his real name, but the adult Mr. did not call him by name, but called him Little Guy. Indeed, Jian Wushuang can only be regarded as a little guy in front of this misty man who has not lived for many years. Master Fog. Jian Wushuang raised his head. Your wife's soul body will soon be transformed. Master Wu continued. To be completed? Jian Wushuang rejoiced. For 3,300 years. He has waited here for 3,300 years. Although most of the time he is trying to improve his strength, but his heart has been lingering cold and looking forward to it. Meet with Frost. And now it's finally time. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang immediately set off for the 3rd day. On the ancient altar, Xingyue Agarwood, which had existed, has long disappeared. During the transformation of the cold and frosty soul, Xingyue Agarwood has been constantly consuming, and now it has been completely consumed. There is still only a cloud of milky light, and this milky light is extremely dazzling. I can feel that my wife's soul is now extremely arrogant and pure. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands and was very excited. He could see that the frosty soul had been transformed. The next step is the shaping of the divine body. Master, the soul has been transformed. Is my wife's soul awake? Jian Wushuang could not help but ask, but he was obstructed by himself, but could not detect it at all. It should be awake, but if you are aware of outside events, then you don't know. Master Wu lifted his beard and said indifferently, Jian Wushuang, helpless, can only continue to wait. Buzzing. The milky light suddenly began to surge, and a large amount of light began to condense in that void. Its cohesion is an entirely new body. Jian Wushuang stared at this body without blinking, and gradually this body was fully formed, and its appearance also appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Beauty the beauty is suffocating. This is a prosperous face, and it is exactly the appearance of his wife, as cold as frost. It is exactly the same, and even adds a few points to her temperament. Her body can only be described as perfect. Finally, this brand new body is completely condensed, followed by a pair of extremely touching eyes. The dark eyes directly looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also looked at her. The 2 eyes were narrow. Suddenly, the air was completely condensed. End of this chapter. Chapter 38-39. 6th more. On the ancient altar of the 3rd heaven of the Red Cloud realm, a husband and wife finally met each other after many years. You are. Lung Wushuang watched Jian Wushuang tightly. His body trembled, and countless memories immediately appeared in his mind. These memories are unique to the sword. Jian Wu's eyes were somewhat moist. He has been for many years and does not know what tears are. His current mood is even more complicated, and his hard work finally restored his wife's body, waited for countless years, and finally met his wife. Before meeting, he had thought about what to say to his wife many times, but now he really met, but he didn't know what to say for a while. "Shuang, are you okay?" Jian Wushuang finally spoke. His voice was a little hoarse. "Fu Jun." Lung Rushuang finally shouted. Her figure fluttered directly towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang opened his arms and rushed into his arms as cold as frost. Two people hugging together. No sound. No words. The two just felt each other's heartbeat together. The mister, standing aside, saw this scene, shook his head, but left with interest. The whole altar was left with only two men, Jian Wushuang and Lung Rushuang, hugging each other for a long time. After a while, Jian Wushuang sat down on the altar, and Frost was nestling in his arms. "Fu Jun, what is going on? Didn't I leave Vanguard with her? And where are we now?" Lung Rushuang had a lot of questions at the moment. No way. Her current memory still stays in the original Qinghua world, the original Tang dynasty, and the wedding night with sword unparalleled. That day, he became married to Jian Wushuang. After that, his soul fell asleep, and his body was controlled by the coldness of snow for so many years until now. Eternal world. Jian Wushuang touched his nose. The elder world is a distant thing for him. However, his wife wanted to know that Jian Wushuang also began to talk slowly. He recounted that in order to be able to pursue the coldness of the snow, he went to the ancient chaos world alone to adventure, and step by step reached the pinnacle of the ancient chaos world. Later, when he met Lung Rushua, he tried his best to make Lung Shueshua escape, but in the end he failed. Immediately following him, he will come to the chaotic world of eternity and suffer from upheaval, fall into crisis, and finally at the end of his master, he will use the shocking method to reverse time and space and send him into the reincarnation with the cold, frosty soul and enter the pre-God world. Then Jian Wushuang talked about his second life. Many things happened. Time is too long. The process is quite rich. Jian Wushuang did not elaborate on it all, and even did not mention some of his own adventures. Lung Rushuang had been listening quietly, and from time to time he pulled the clothes of Jian Wushuang. Obviously, he heard some dangerous things about Jian Wushuang and worried about Jian Wushuang. It took a long time to tell the story of all these years. In this way, I passed the test of the second heaven of the Red Cloud realm and got the heart of the astral world, so that your soul can fully wake up and shape a brand new body. So we really met. Jian Wushuang smiled. 20,000 years. I didn't expect us to be apart. It's been nearly 200,000 years. After listening to the cold as frost, my heart was not calm for a long time. Counting the time, it is true that nearly 200,000 years have passed since he left Wangyuji, and even all of them may be more than 200,000 years. Jian Wushuang cannot remember it. In the 200,000 years, so many things have happened, from the ancient world to the ancient chaotic world to the early world of the gods and the current universe battlefield. Lung Rushuang said, but suddenly stopped, her eyes full of affectionate look at Xiang Jianwushuang. Softly, "You are stupid." "I'm stupid, but everything is worth it. At least we meet now, and starting today, no one can take you away from me." Jian's parents took a frosty forehead and laughed road. "I will never leave you again in my life," said Lung Rushuang. "Of course, the two of us in this life, and this world will never be separated, not only the two of us, but also our future children." Jian Wushuang smiled. Cold as frost could not help but shy. This couple, who has been separated for nearly 200,000 years, sees each other as if they have finished speaking, and the two snuggle together, speaking for a whole day and night, but it is not over. It wasn't until Master Wu couldn't stand it that he appeared to interrupt the two. "Jian Wushuang." Master Wu glanced at Jian Wushuang and Frosty coldly, and said lowly, Your wife's body has recovered, and you two have reunited. What are your plans next? She has left her hometown for too long, and she hasn't seen her father for a long time, so I plan to take her away and go home. Jian Wuxuangdo said. Want to leave? Master Wu frowned. Why, is there a problem? Jian Wuxuang asked. It's nothing, but if it is possible, I suggest that the two of you stay in this red cloud world for a longer period of time. Wuda humane. Why? Jian Wuxuang wondered. Yes, your wife has absorbed the heart of the astral world, her soul has transformed, and she is already qualified to become a top powerhouse, but your starfield resources are too scarce, and your vision is generally very low. There, you can't really polish it. If your wife now goes back to you now, relying on her innate advantages, she can easily become the master in the future, but it's difficult to have greater achievements. Mist Humane. Oh, Jian Wuxuang frowned. So I have an idea that you two will stay in the red cloud realm for a while. During this time, I will give your wife some guidelines. In addition, I personally have a few unique secrets that are very suitable for her. Cultivation, with my guidance, plus these mysteries, your wife will definitely have more room for growth in the future. Wu to humanity. Hearing Master Wu's words, Jian Wuxuang's complexion became strange. Master Wu, do you have any intention of letting my wife inherit your mantle? Jian Wuxuang said strangely. Yes, I have this intention. Lord Wu nodded, admitting generously. This makes Jian Wuxuang even more wrong. Why, do you think I don't have the ability to guide your wife? Master Wu smiled. Little guy, you don't really think that I'm just a steward of this red cloud world. Jian Wuxuang could not help but stun. Chapter 3840. The first is more. Correct. Although he knew from the beginning that the Lord Wu controlled everything in the Red Cloud realm and could be said to be the steward of the Red Cloud realm, the Lord Wu was obviously not the spirit of the Red Cloud realm, but the actual life. It is both the life and the control of the Red Cloud realm for the ancestors of Red Cloud. My name is called Fog. Lord Wu said indifferently, if many years ago, in the depths of the universe, my name was the most famous of fog, some people still knew it. Miss Supreme. Jian Wuxuang was startled. This mister turned out to be a supreme superpower? Now, do you think I have the ability to guide your wife? Master Wu looked over. Of course. Jian Wuxuang said, just kidding. The divine supreme level super strong. Even the ultimate level of masters can give pointers, although her wife naturally understands a rule as the rule's master as soon as the body recovers because of the relationship between the heart of the astral world, but also realize only through a rule. How good is it that a supreme strong person can direct her personally and even intend to have his wife inherit his mantle? Master Wu, I don't know how long it will take for my wife to fully inherit your mantle. Jian Wuxuang asked. Look at the perception, for a few hundred years and about 2,000 or 3,000 years long. Jian Wuxuang looked at it as cold as frost. Shuanger, what do you think? I'm willing to worship Lord Wu as a teacher. Lung Rushuang said. She didn't hesitate at all. The reason why she was so decisive was because she knew her husband's current strength and how great the burden was on him. As a wife, she naturally wants to help Jian Wuxuang as much as possible and share her worries for Jian Wuxuang. Now that she has such a good opportunity, she will cherish it. Well, let's stay here for a while. Jian Wuxuang smiled, and then looked at Lord Wu. Master Wu, there is work. I do it for myself. There was a smile on Master Wu's face. Next, Cold as Frost performed a simple worship ceremony in this red cloud world. After the worship was completed, the mister began to point out that the road was cold and frosty, and Jian Wuxuang also stayed in the red cloud realm and continued to use the many opportunities on the island to improve his strength as much as possible in the second day. A flash, 400 years passed. Although the Red Cloud realm has never been opened, the opportunities contained in Redstone Mountain are not limited to the Red Cloud realm. Therefore, the number of strong men who roam in Redstone Mountain all year round is still very large. The depths of Red Rock Mountain are even unexplored here. Bloodstone boulders are piled together. At the very center of this bloodstone pile, a tall old man with a purple unicorn on his forehead sits there, and in front of him, he has a lot of secrets lines exist. Any one of these secret lines is unpredictable, and when combined together, it is a huge law formation. Haha, it's done. The tall elder man with a purple one corner suddenly burst into a hearty laugh, and with the movement of his palm, the secret lines in the heavy circle in front of him began to flow. An ancient but dark breath slowly rose up. 16,000 years. After I discovered that this heavy law formation existed 160,000 years ago, except for the 10,000 years before the red cloud and fog tide appeared, I spent time studying and enlightening before this law formation. I can see that this behind the legal array, it should be an independent world or an independent heaven and earth secret place. The independent space or the heaven and earth secret place hidden in the deepest part of Red Rock Mountain must be a great opportunity. Therefore, I have spent a full 150,000 years devoting all my energy to studying this law formation. Until now, I have finally found a flaw in this law formation, leaving a gap in this law formation and following it. In the gap, I can enter this hidden world, and all opportunities in this world will be to me. The purple, one-horned, tall, old man, horned owl dominates and laughs wildly, and his eyes are filled with unprecedented surprises. What is the most important thing to do in the 3 battlefields? That is the chance. But now, it took the Horned Lord to spend a full 150,000 years before he could barely open the gap of this heavy law formation. In his opinion, he must take a chance and get a chance. He is dominated by a horn, just a higher master, and his strength is more general. He has not reached the point where he can run wild in this star field because he has not had any great opportunities before, but now he sees it. Of course, he is certainly pleasantly surprised and happy. Suddenly, a ghostly black light flashed away. The smile on the face of the horn dominates suddenly and freezes. Instead, it is a look of horror and horror. He stared at him in front of him, where the terrible black evil spirit condensed. The evil spirit was thicker than the evil spirit of any person he had seen before. Horrified, the horror suffocated the captor. Immediately after, a black figure slowly appeared in front of the Horned Lord. A dark armor, dark skin, and a faint gloom on the body surface. The eyes were cold like a blade. The sight of the sky, the rules of heaven and earth seemed to collapse. The whole person felt as if from Joyo Devil. The cold eyes, like blades, locked on the body of the Horned Lord, instantly making the Horned Lord dominate the whole person as if he were near an ice cellar. His body trembled, and his skin was twitching. He also found in horror that he was in front of his eyes. Under the gaze of this black figure, he didn't even have the strength to raise his hand. With one look, he made his grand master domineering and lost his resistance. The black demon figure flashed suddenly, then appeared in front of the Horned Lord, and kept pressing his big hand directly on the head of the Horned Lord. The horned owl dominates, his eyes wide, and has no ability to resist at all. Immediately after that, he discovered that an incredible force came directly to his soul. The Horned Lord's consciousness disappeared instantly, and his soul was completely peeped under the control of the other side. After that, the black devil's cube dropped his palm, and the Horned Lord's body was unable to chase down. Starfield, Universe Battlefield, Redstone Mountain? The Black Devil murmured, but an unprecedented ecstasy gradually appeared on his face. It's the universe, it's the universe. Ha ha, come out, my ancient night devil, finally came out alive from that place. Ha ha. The insane and wanton laughter echoed in the heavens and the earth for a long time. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 3841. Second more. The Red Cloud World. The 18th year of cold recovery. Father, look at the whip. As cold as frost stood high. The jade hand waved a dark green whip, meandering like a dragon. Suddenly, a rage of mighty power flooded. Jian Wushuang stood below, only feeling that he was caught in a sea of oceans, just like one of the strongest sword arts he created. The difference is that the lightsaber is mainly used to trap the enemy or entangle. The whip cast is extremely violent. I saw the waves rolling wildly, forming a heavy tsunami, endless, madly coming towards the sword, unparalleled. This whip method is powerful. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but admire, but followed with one hand into a sword. Broken! A soft word was spit out, and the heavy tsunami that swept over him immediately broke off from it, and the whole ocean was cut off without any mood. The frosty figure fell from the void. Schwanger, your whip method is getting worse and worse. Jian Wushuang smiled. What awesome! Haven't you just broken it with a sword? Cold and frosty, Sword Wushuang glanced. You don't know to let me? Jian Wushuang touched his nose and looked strange. However, the master taught me this whip method. It is true. There are enough 16 types of whip method. Now, I only barely master the first type, and the power of this type is probably not enough. If I can show the power of 20% to 30% of this whip method, you will definitely not defeat my whip method so easily. Cold as frost. That is, the whip method created by the dignified supreme is naturally not simple. Jian Wushuang smiled. In these 800 years, the cold as frost has been cultivated under the guidance of Lord Wu, and Jian Wushuang is watching. He witnessed the strength of Lung Rushuang step by step with his own eyes, and the whip method just cast by Lung Rushuang was also taught by Master Wu, and it was a complete whip magic created by Master Wu himself. Well, even if it is so cold, even if it can only use the first type to barely display less than 10% of its power, it is already very good. Schwanger, I just saw that your whip method contains not only 3 completely fused rules, but also a 4th rule. Jian Wushuang asked suddenly. Lung Rushuang nodded. Under Master's instructions, I have now fully understood and integrated the 4 rules. As for the 4th rule, I have already comprehended most of them, and it will take a long time to fully understand. After the full understanding, the integration should be relatively easy. According to Master, at most 2,000 years, I should be able to break through and become the Master. If it was so cold, Jian Wushuang could not help twitching. Although he learned from the foggy population before that the coldness after absorbing the heart of the astral world is astonishing, it is easy to become the Master, but Jian Wushuang did not expect it would be such an easy method. In just 800 years, the frosty cold jump from the ruler who just started reached the top of the ruler and immediately understood the 4th rule. At most 2,000 years, he could become the Master. He spent so many years at the Master level of rules, but there is still a long way to go before the Master level. After all, the integration of the 4 rules is very difficult. Unsurprisingly, Schwanger, you are afraid that you will become the Master before me. Jian Wushuang sighed softly. What about being the Master first? Master said, even if I break through and become the Master, you should be far less than you in terms of combat power, and you will understand a bit of the law of the universe. Lung Rushuang said. Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. Of course, I am not weak now, according to Master, although I am only the Master of Rules now. With the mystic methods taught by Master, my combat power is not weaker than the first-level primary Master. If, desperately, I can even compete with the first-level higher Master. Cold as frost again. The sword did not hear, but was not surprised. The difference between the ruler and the master is huge, but it is not absolutely impossible to make up. Not to mention Jian Wushuang himself. The blood-slaughter emperor he encountered before was called the first of the masters of this star domain rule before he had risen. His combat power was indeed very strong, and he broke out with all his strength. Rising up, it can also rival the primary dominator. The Emperor of Bloodslaughter did not get much opportunity or inheritance, and he could have such combat power, and as cold as frost, first of all absorbed the treasures of the heart of the astral world, and secondly, the supreme personal passage. The Lord Wu, after carefully teaching for 800 years and teaching various mysterious magical powers, how can their combat power not be strong? It's a pity that the time for the cold to restore the body is too short, and the understanding of Tao and the experience and skills of killing are still lacking. Otherwise, her combat power can be even stronger. Tour, sword unparalleled, you two come over. Lord Wu's voice suddenly sounded. Holding hands with Lung Rushuang, Jian Wushuang arrived on the altar of the third heaven, and Lord Wu was already waiting there. It's been 800 years. In these 800 years, I've taught me everything I can teach, and then I can only look at you. Master Wu looked cold and frosty. His eyes were extremely soft. After all, he is his own disciple, and as far as he can tell the truth, Master Wu has a much better attitude towards cold as frost than sword unparalleled. Master, Lung Rushuang looked up, glancing at Master Wu. Mr. Wu ignored it. Little guy, you can take your wife away, now. Thanks to the seniors for their careful teaching over the years. Jian Wushuang was grateful. You're welcome. I just want to leave a mantle to myself. Master Wu waved. Seniors, juniors are actually curious. Why didn't the seniors leave? If the strengths of the seniors, if this is to leave, this red cloud world should not stop you? Jian Wushuang frowned. Leave. Master Wu misted up, then shook his head. Do you think I don't want to leave? Just can't do it. Why? Jian Wushuang wondered. You guys, you still don't know how terrible the battle was at the beginning. Even the Master's mighty strength was dead, and I was the warlord of the Master. I was also involved in that war. Adult voices are low. The original owner died, and I was attacked by the aftermath of the demon ancestral fighter. Although I was not dead, I was hit by an unprecedented hit. In the end, I only managed to escape to the Red Cloud Realm, and barely survived with the power of the Red Cloud Realm. Can't be miserable anymore. All these years, my body has been relying on the Red Cloud Realm to barely maintain it without crashing on the spot, and once I leave the Red Cloud Realm, the god body immediately collapses, and I will die immediately. Chapter 3842. Third more. Is that so? Jian Wushuang stunned. He has always wondered why this mister has been staying in the Red Cloud Realm for a long time. It turned out to be this reason. Little guy, there is one more thing before you leave. Master Wu suddenly said. Jian Wushuang and cold as frost could not help looking at this mister. The Lord was strong before his life, and he opened up a great kingdom of God, occupying an extremely vast territory, and his majesty has countless people. If there is a huge kingdom of God, there will be some venomous minds, evil generations, and the Master God Kingdom. There have been a lot of evil people of all kinds. For their own benefit, they have used whatever means to make waves in God. Once these wicked people are found, many of them are beheaded and killed directly, but there are also a lot of them that are detained. The places where these wicked people are held are called eternal dark prisons. The eternal dark prison has existed for many years. Not long after the Master opened up the kingdom of God, the eternal dark prison has always existed. When the kingdom of God is still there, people will often be detained in the eternal dark prison. There are incredible performances that can attract the attention of Hangyun's leaders. Otherwise, these prisoners are destined to be detained in their entire lives. Over the years, the number of prisoners held in the eternal dark prison has long been unknown. Jian Wushuang listened very puzzled. He didn't understand. Master Wu suddenly told him what to do. The eternal dark prison is divided into 6 layers. The prisoners are detained at different levels according to the strength of the highlands. Everything was originally organized step by step. After the war, the Master fell, the Red Cloud fell, and the kingdom of God directly collapsed. Although this eternal dark prison was not directly destroyed, it also hurt the foundation and great power in the original battle. The most important thing is that the eternal dark prison's law formation also has a flaw. Of course, this flaw exists only on the first floor and is extremely hidden. Under normal circumstances, those prisoners who are held on the first floor of the eternal dark prison cannot find this flaw, and they cannot pass through it. The silk flaw escaped from the eternal hell. However, just 500 years ago, I sensed through the Red Cloud realm that someone used the flaw in the eternal dark prison to make a gap in the first floor of the eternal dark prison. Although the eternal dark prison matrix, soon this gap was repaired, but during this time, prisoners escaped from the eternal dark prison. What? Jian Wushuang was startled. Someone escaped 500 years ago. He just didn't understand why Lord Wu suddenly said this to him, but now he understands it. All the prisoners held in the eternal dark prison have committed heinous sins. They dare not say that every nature is evil. At least they are not good people. They can be held in the eternal dark prison by Hangyun. Their strength must also be very strong. Such a prisoner ran out. How many did you run out? Jian Wushuanglian asked. There is a great correlation between the Red Cloud realm and the eternal dark prison. I now control the Red Cloud realm, but I barely sensed that there were only one prisoner who ran out of the eternal dark prison 500 years ago. Mist is humane. Just one. That's better. Jian Wushuang relaxed. If dozens or hundreds of prisoners ran out of the eternal dark prison in one breath, then this star field would suffer. Although only one prisoner ran out, don't be underestimated, Master Wu said positively. The meaning of the existence of the eternal dark prison is not just to detain the prisoners, but to choose some of the top prisoners. As much as possible, he then worked for Hangyun, so he could be detained in the eternal dark prison, the weakest being the master, and the strongest but even the supreme. What? In the eternal dark prison, the supreme is being held? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Yes, the 6th floor of eternal dark prison is holding the supreme, and there is more than one. Master Wu smiled. Of course, although eternal dark prison hurt the foundation in the original battle, the power is still there. Unless the supreme gets a great breakthrough in strength, he can reach the level before the Lord S life, and may come out of the eternal dark prison. But the eternal dark prison environment is very harsh. In these harsh environments, I want to reach close that step of the Master's peak strength is almost impossible. And this time out of the eternal dark prison, the prisoners held on the first floor. Among the 6 floors of the eternal dark prison, the prisoners on the first floor are the weakest, and the first prisoners are generally the first level, or the master of the second level. But the eternal dark prison has not been joined by new prisoners for many years, and the killing inside is crazy and fierce. In such a long time of killing, it can still survive, and the strength is bound to be. I estimate that the prisoner who escaped this time is at least a master who reached the top of the second level, and may even have broken through to the third level. Woo to humanity. At the very least, they are at the top of the second series. Is it even possible to reach the third series? Since he realized a bit of the law of the universe, his strength has skyrocketed. Generally, the second series is dominated by him. He doesn't need to take his mind at all, but the top of the second series, or even the third series, dominates him. But there is no pressure. Fujun, you don't have to worry too much. After all, the prisoners held in the eternal dark prison are not all lunatics. Maybe the prisoners who came out this time belong to the kind of indiscriminate killing, not to mention this star field is at the extreme edge of the universe. Generally, the master who reaches the second level will choose to leave here and enter the rest of the universe. If the prisoner is so powerful, he will definitely not be in this star field. I stayed too long, said Long Rushuang. Well, too. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. They'll tell you this, just to remind you. In addition, Jian Wushuang, haven't you always wanted to improve your strength, but is it already difficult to meet decent opponents in this star field? Now, there are opponents. Master Wu smiled. Opposite, just the prisoner? Jian Wushuang squinted. Of course, not only one of him, but countless prisoners in the eternal dark prison. Wu big humanity. Jian Wushuang stunned, but then looked at Master Wu in shock. Master Fog, are you telling me to go to the eternal dark prison? Why are you afraid? Master Wu looked at Jian Wushuang with interest. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 3843. Fourth more. Jian Wushuang was not afraid. He was just scared. Just knowing the origin of this eternal dark prison from the foggy population, Jian Wushuang knew what kind of place this eternal dark prison is. Imagine that innumerable prisoners were detained inside, and they have not seen the sun all day long, and so many years have passed. Even if the prisoners there are not lunatics themselves, they are estimated to have become lunatics, and those prisoners are still powerful, even if the weakest layer is the strongest at the top of the second series. Taking one out casually is enough to make him treat seriously. However, what Master Wu said is also very reasonable. He does not find an opponent in this star field, but he cannot leave the star field for the time being. So if he wants to continue to improve his strength and continue to challenge the new strong, then Eternal Dark Prison is indeed a good choice. Eternal Dark Prison, although they are detaining some lunatics who have committed heinous crimes, and now they are estimated to be almost crazy, but there is no doubt that these lunatics are all strong. Jian Wu's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness, faint with a touch of excitement. Yes, he was excited. He was eager to fight with the strong, and in the Eternal Dark Prison, he could fully meet his requirements. My dear, I'm not mistaken. You are warlike by nature and have a strong heart. Even if you know that the Eternal Dark Prison is extremely dangerous, you still want to go inside. Master Wu smiled. Jian Wushuang also smiled. Fujun, the frosty cold frost next to her, frowned. She also understood what the Eternal Dark Prison is. Naturally, she did not want Jian Wushuang to go there and take risks. Ha! Sir, you don't need to worry. Anyone in this star field, including you going to the Eternal Dark Prison, even if it is only the first floor, it is estimated that all are dead. But for this little guy, it is not there is a danger of death. Master Wu laughed. Why? Jian Wushuang understood. Master Wu explained immediately. Eternal Dark Prison was originally created by Hongyun Imai. Hongyun Imai has absolute power in the Eternal Dark Prison. As long as it is a strong man or a disciple under Hongyun Imai, enter the Eternal Dark Prison. Afterwards, they will be sheltered by the Eternal Dark Prison Circle. Little guy, Didn't I give you a token of a disciple from the heart of Hongyun before? With this token, you can mobilize a part of the power of the magic circle in the eternal whisper, let alone the first level or at most only the second level, counting the top or third level masters. You can easily suppress even the ultimate masters held in the fifth layer. Is there such a thing? Jian Wushuang worried, and the cold frost beside him also showed surprise. Lung Rushuang was still worried that Jian Wushuang would endanger his life after entering the eternal dark prison, but I did not expect that Jian Wushuang, a red-clouded inner disciple, would have such privileges in the eternal dark prison. The power of the array. By virtue of this heavy means, he can walk sideways in the eternal dark prison. Of course, the reason you go to eternal dark prison is mainly to experience and improve your strength. If it is not a crisis of life and death, then the power of the magic circle, you better not to easily move. Of course, if I casually meet a prisoner, I will use the powerful power of the falcon to suppress who, then there is no other training effect. Jian Wushuang smiled. Only at the last moment, I will use this trick. In addition, I can use this not only to save my life, but also to find ways to bring some other gains. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes slightly. He had some other thoughts in his heart. For example, go to the eternal dark prison to subdue a few prisoners as servants. The weakest of the prisoners in the eternal dark prison are the combat power of the second level to dominate the hierarchy. In terms of high-level combat power, it is definitely a huge increase. Of course, it is not so easy to want those prisoners to submit to him. Okay, that's all I have to say. You can leave. Master Wu waved his hand. The junior is leaving. The disciples are leaving. Jian Wushuang salutes with Lung Rushuang together. Even if Xian leaves the Red Cloud realm together. Redstone Mountain, Jian Wushuang, and Frost side by side. Is this the battlefield of the universe? It feels really unusual, and it feels extremely dangerous in many places. I couldn't help sighing along the way. The Red Cloud realm she was in was actually in the universe battlefield, but after all, it was an independent space, and it was completely different from actually walking in the universe battlefield. Schwanger, after we left Hongshishan, we went back to Shinggong first, and then we went home together. Jian Wushuangdo. Lung Rushuang smiled and nodded. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang looked suddenly. What's wrong? Lung Rushuang looked over in confusion. Schwanger, come with me first. Jian Wushuang changed direction and swept away to the void. Cold as frost, although in doubt, immediately followed. On a bloodstone, a man in black, with a faint gloom around him, was sitting quietly, closed his eyes, not knowing what he was doing. And Sword Wushuang and Cold as Frost have already appeared in the void around this man in black. The latter has no gap. On the strength, Sword Wushuang and Cold as Frost are extremely strong. Jian Wushuang learned from the magic flame of the method of hiding breath. The General Master cannot sense the breath, and the cold secret hiding technique is from the Supreme of the Mist. The hand is even better. The man in black, who is the ruler of the peak of the 6 realms, certainly cannot find his existence. Fu Jun, do you know this person? Lung Rushuang asked. Of course I know. Once upon a time, he took the lord of many rules of the 3 sacred realms, but he almost forced me into despair. Jian Wushuang smiled. You man in black on the bloodstone below, of course he knows. The lord of the galaxy, the lord of the rules from the 3 holy realms. At the beginning of Palau Island, he was under the siege of the 3 holy realms and besieged. When the lord of the 3 holy realms never appeared, the strongest of the 3 holy realms was the galaxy of stars. The lord at that time was already the combat power of the 6 realms of void, and even the main white star of the Temple of Time and Space was reluctantly suppressed by it. But now, the three sacred realms have long been destroyed by him, and the Lord of the three sacred realms has also been beheaded by him. But the Lord of Xinghe is still alive. It seems that the annihilation of the three sacred realms was not thorough enough, and there are still many missing fish that escaped. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, but the smile was abnormally cold, and it was also killing. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang and Lung Rushuang appeared directly. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3844. Fifth More. The Lord of the Galaxy has been miserable these years. It is normal that all three sacred realms have been destroyed. Although he left the early divine realm in advance and fled to the universe battlefield, he has since become a bereavement dog. Now, Jian Wushuang is too angry in this star domain name, and his power has been continuously improved. Even the strength of the Star Palace has been improved a lot. The Star Palace has never forgotten to chase them through these three holy realms. Fish, which led him to the peak of the battlefield of the six realms, but almost no party in this area would accept him. After all, no one wants to provoke Jian Wushuang and provoke the current Star Palace. There is no way. The Lord of the Galaxy can only continue to roam in the universe battlefield to improve his strength as much as possible, and still have to be careful about the feasible things. Once the whereabouts are exposed and known to the people in the Xingong Palace, the Xingong Palace is likely to send strong troops directly. Come to kill him. Call. Exhaling lightly, the main star of Xinghe opened his eyes. Although this red rock mountain contains a lot of opportunities and you want to get it, it requires a lot of luck and strength. I have spent many years in the depths of this red rock mountain, and I have barely got some benefits, which has made me better. It is far from the extreme of the six realms, but it is still far away, let alone the master. The Lord of the Galaxy shook his head, secretly. Red Rock Mountain is indeed a treasure land, which contains many great opportunities, but these great opportunities are not available to everyone. At least the Lord of the Galaxy has no luck. Zijin and Longyang, both of them intend to leave this star field and go to other places to break out. It seems that I also consider leaving. The Lord of the Galaxy murmured, "The ruler will travel to other star fields." There are few examples of this. After all, the universe is too long and extremely dangerous. The ruler wanders in the universe and is easily lost and easily falls. But the Lord of the Stars has no way, because it is very difficult for them to stay in this star field. Even if I barely stay here, I've always been nervous. Before they learned that Jian Wushuang entered the darkened demon realm, they were very happy and felt that Jian Wushuang would die in it, so they didn't have to leave. But in the end, Jian Wushuang survived the dim magic domain. Even the dim demonic domain failed to make Jian Wushuang fall. The Lord of the Stars understood that the sword was unsustainable. Therefore, those fish in the three holy realms, including the Lord of the Stars, were preparing to leave the star domain. Suddenly, the two statures showed no signs and appeared directly in front of the Lord of the Galaxy. The Lord of the Xinghe looked up subconsciously. When he saw the sword unparalleled with the Excalibur among the two figures, the expression of the Lord of the Xinghe suddenly turned white. "Xinghe Lord, I haven't seen you for many years. Don't come to me." Jian Wushuang's voice was cold, with a touch of teasing. "The Lord of the Blood Sword? No, the Sword. The Lord of the Galaxy is full of horrified Jian Wushuang. How could it be? How did you know I was here? How did you find me?" "Of course I don't know you're here, but you're out of luck. I've been wandering in the Red Rock Mountain these years, and just passing by nearby, I noticed your soul breath." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Luck, bad luck." The Lord of the Stars widened his eyes. and the whole man collapsed, his eyes stared, his face despairing. He knew that since Jian Wushuang had already appeared in front of him, no matter what means he used, he could not escape. Xinghe Lord, on Powa Island, you led the Lord of the Three Sacred Realms and ruled me together. I can always remember this feud, but nowadays I don't bother to bully you. So, my side is my wife. She just broke the rule of the ruler shortly after, and I let her go. If you can survive in her hands, I will let you go. Jian Wushuangdo. Hearing this, the already desperate Lord of the Galaxy, he suddenly looked up and burst of light in those eyes. Jian Tianho, do you speak seriously? As the Lord of Stars said this, he couldn't help but look at the cold frost next to him. But the frosty coldness completely converged, and he could not see the truth, but from his vision, it could be seen that the coldness of frost should be soon after entering the world. I speak naturally. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, looking at the cold frost beside him. Frost, it's up to you. The reason why Lung Rushuang made his shot was because Master Wu had explained in the Red Cloud realm before, and there was a chance to let Lung Rushuang practice more in the future. After all, the road to the strong is destined to be bloody. Cold as frost, absorbed the heart of the astral world, has the capital and potential to become a strong, but it also needs to be tempered. But Jian Wushuang took into account that Lung Rushuang had just grasped his strength shortly, and his soul has been sleeping for nearly 200,000 years. It can be said that there is no experience of fighting with the strong. It is impossible for Jian Wushuang to challenge her too strong opponent at the beginning. The master of Xinghe, with only the peak of 6 realms, can just be the first experienced opponent for Lung Rushuang. Lung Rushuang also knew the intention of Jian Wushuang, and he did not refuse, but went straight forward, and the dark green whip appeared in his hand. I only give a whip. If you don't die after a whip, you can leave. Frost's face was cold. Her temperament was cold like a glacier. In the whole world, only Jian Wushuang can fuse it, and when facing other people, it is almost as cold as frost. A whip? The Lord of the Galaxy laughed, and there was a surprise hidden under that laughter. In front of his eyes, this woman was too arrogant. It should be noted that although he only has the highest combat power of the 6 realms, his life-saving ability is pretty good. Among the rule masters are the existence of several anti-skies, such as Jian Wushuang and Blood Tudi, the master of other rules, even some extremely terrible 6 realm extremes. It is impossible to kill him with one stroke. Cold and frosty, but a little lazy, the dark green whip in her hand was already waving. A special mood came out. Suddenly, the Lord of the Galaxy only felt that he had fallen into the ocean, and the surrounding area was a tsunami formed by a huge wave of madness rolling up, and the momentum was shocking, one after another. How can it be? The master of the galaxy changed, greatly the tsunami came, and he exerted his desire to resist. But in the end, the first shock caused him to be traumatized, the second shock caused his body to be broken, and the third shock his body was completely collapsed, and all his power was annihilated. Do not. Jian Tianho, you lie to me. She will never break the rule of the ruler, not long. It's impossible. After the hysterical death, the Lord of the Galaxy died, directly. Emperor Jiuqian.